Hey guys, this is Anime Ball Z here, and today we're going to be doing the opening part to What If Bardock was like Dr. GERO. On a post I did a while back suggesting my next What If, this suggestion got the most likes, so this is what I'll be doing. Please like the video if you haven't already and subscribe. It's totally free and you can unsubscribe whenever you want. There's nothing much else I'd like to say in the intro, so without further ado, let's get into the video.
Slick talker since a jet. Winter time, all the time, ooh, yeah. Look at the way that I move, swag, disrespectful and I'm rude, okay. I had cocaine in the school.
Here we start not on Earth but on planet Vegeta. Ordinary Saiyan males train for their entire lives to use the bodies that God has gifted them in battle, pillaging towns, razing them to the ground, wiping out planets. However, this Saiyan has taken quite a different turn. Bardock, father of Goku, Bardock the Scientist. His house is not just like any ordinary home but houses a vast underground lab laid with special metals to prevent any energy signatures from leaking out into the settlement above. I might not have the power to stop Frieza from destroying my people, but you do, my son, my greatest creation, Kakarot, Bardock says with emphasis and pride. Cerealian DNA, Knasten DNA for foresight, Frieza's DNA himself, nobody will stop my son. Using his scouter, he records a birth power level of 144,000. If anybody's taking down Frieza, it's going to be his son. No matter how much smarts he had, he couldn't convince those above him. The Saiyan structure is based on power, not intelligence. Those who are stronger get the best say, not the most knowledgeable and intelligent. The truth isn't figured out, the strong write it themselves. Are you sure you're right about this, Bardock? Gine asks, with a little uncertainty as she looks around in the lab. I'm certain, Gine. My calculations have not failed me, they never have, Bardock says, almost drifting off into thought as he says this. Even with his calculations, his intelligence, one thing has always reigned supreme for him, his foresight. He tried his best to reason Frieza not killing off his people to himself. I mean, they're his greatest assets, why would he get rid of all of them because of some random legend? Every time he trusted his foresight in the past, he was true. Sadly, he is quite sure his foresight has not failed him now. We will take Goku with us and head to a relatively safe planet called Earth. I will try and retrieve Raditz for us in the meantime. Why couldn't you give the same power to Goku to yourself so you can save everyone yourself? Gine asks. Bardock tilts his head, seemingly ready with a million thoughts. It was almost as if he predicted his wife would ask him something like that. Well, my body is already matured, but not only that, it's aging. This genetic manipulation is only valid up until the first few years of life. Beyond that, it gets very hard to modify someone's genes. In other words, it's harder to change someone's body once they're already grown up. The only other option would have been Raditz, but even with him, the chances would have been extremely slim, Bardock reveals. With that, after a good few hours, the family prepare themselves. Bardock already has miniature ships for them down here. 2 Saiyan ships modified to become faster and last longer in space. In them is a vast number of documents and artifacts that he can use to continue his work wherever they're headed. It takes some time and they arrive on the planet with the young Goku. It creates a large crater and Bardock uses this area to immediately begin his work. Stay close, Bardock says to Gine, standing ahead of her as he lets out a number of mechanical bees. They buzz as they soar through the area at top speed. They're scanning for the air for its composition, any perceivable threats in the vicinity, as well as any natural resources that Bardock can use. Someone watching this happen though is Grandpa Gohan. Unlike in canon, he doesn't just walk up to them, he can tell something is very off about them. The crater is quite large, but even Gine takes one single step to leap out of it like it's a single step in a staircase. Not only that, but all 3 of them have tails and this weird gear on. It's safe to say that Grandpa Gohan is going to keep his distance and not alert them to his presence. However, it's the bees that find him first. They're so small and with his old dulling ears he can't even hear them or see them. They pick up on his presence and Bardock is the one to head to him first. He didn't head here with the sane intention of killing everyone on the planet, he came here instead as a place to reside and so needs answers. He needs to learn more about where he plans to live the rest of his days out. Greetings, we are of no threat to you, Bardock explains. Power level of 80, way weaker than a Saiyan but far above any other human I can sense in the area. Grandpa Gohan, partially scared and taken aback by Bardock's calmness, lets him stay where he's at. During this time, Bardock just starts hunting the dragons and predators in the area to use them as a meat source. Not only that, but he begins creating his station from scratch. He is extremely smart and so picked up many construction abilities. With the body of a Saiyan, he doesn't need a crane or a tractor to get things done. All he needs are his own 2 hands. Now, since Goku's power level is so high, nobody can really take care of him. Grandpa Gohan assumed these strong people could help, but apparently this baby is even stronger than them. Therefore, Bardock resorts to things like powerful sedatives to keep him weak so he can be kept in line. During this time, Bardock is just advancing his studies. Now adding DNA to his body has been hard, but he has been able to modify the DNA that he already has, slowly. Now his power level is at a very solid, respectable 50,000. However, it's not easy to affect his own powers. All he does now is train, but he doesn't have that same discipline that Goku does. He is just any ordinary Saiyan in that regard, so the progress on that front is quite slow. Goku grows up in this family and gets training mainly not from Grandpa Gohan but from his own father, Bardock. Saiyans are trained from as soon as they can walk, and the training isn't anything easy either. By the start of the series, Goku is a totally different boy. He's an energetic, bold young Saiyan. He still has his tail. When he turned into an Uzaru, his parents were there to stop him from causing havoc. They also teach him how to control the form. His power level is now at 300,000. His sliver of Frieza DNA means that he finds it very easy to grow stronger from training. Soon after, Bardock lifts from his lab and looks back to Gine as he readies his ship. "Please be safe, Bardock," Gine says, with Goku in her arms. "I will be. I'll get him back," Bardock says, before wearing up his ship into power. Stepping into it, he fires off into the sky and enters space in seconds. He tracks down his son. He placed a tracker into him to make sure he knows where he is at all times. He never trusted the operating systems of Frieza's gear. It was never in their superior's best interest to tell the Saiyans the actual truth. He arrives on a faraway planet where Nappa, Vegeta and Raditz are currently dismantling it. Bardock hones in on the specific location of his son, making sure to keep himself quiet. Walking through a dense jungle, he ends up stepping on the branch, cracking it from his own weight. "What was that?" Nappa asks, sleepily entering the forest. Once he sees Bardock, he goes in to attack him. However, Bardock reaches around him to get his neck while also placing his hand over his mouth. "I'm sorry, Nappa," he whispers, before the man slowly passes out from getting suffocated. After this, he wakes up Raditz. He looks terrified as he awakes, but once he sees his father, he calms down. Now he's just a bit surprised. Planet Vegeta was destroyed. He thought his father was dead. How did he escape the planet's destruction? "How are you alive?" Raditz asks, with tears welling up in his eyes. "Don't worry, son, but we don't have much time. I can get you out of here. Escape the Empire. You'll be with me, Gine, Kakarot. We're all alive," Bardock says. "I can't explain much here. If you want to go, we need to go now," Bardock furthers. Raditz takes a few seconds to think, but that's all he needs. He knows he wants to go and be with his family, escape these people that continue to humiliate him for his weakness. He looks back to Nappa knocked out, Vegeta asleep. Be free or stay with them. Stay under Frieza. The choice is easy. He goes back with Bardock, going away in the night back to Earth to rejoin his family. Bardock's family is one again. Before Raditz grows too old, Bardock wants to give him some enhancements to make him a more formidable warrior. Raditz loves the sound of this and he's his father as well, so he's even more willing to go through with it. It consists of similar things that he did to Goku, utilizing Frieza's DNA and other enhancements. He can provide an immediate boost to his power while giving him some of the perks of the Emperor's genetics. His power level at the end of the experiment reaches a whopping 1000. At his young age is almost terrifying. Raditz just laughs upon feeling this power. If he continues to grow and train, it won't be long before he can show off to Vegeta just how powerful he is. Bardock is fascinated yet again by human technology upon looking at this dragon radar. He begins to study it more and just gets increasingly surprised as he does so. Now it isn't anything that crazy. However, he wasn't expecting this level of tech from this planet. Anyway, Goku wishes to embark on an adventure along with his older brother Raditz, and Bardock complies. This is the mission with Bulma in searching for the Dragon Balls. Upon the brothers asking their father, he complies. I mean, Goku is strong enough to keep himself and everyone around him safe, therefore he isn't really scared about where he could be going. Goku comes along and gets all the Dragon Balls with ease, and Goku doesn't really want a wish himself, therefore the arc is over and they've taken the easy win. After the arc, Master Roshi wants to train the two brothers because he can see potential with them both. Goku is way stronger than his older brother, but even his older brother is stronger than every human on Earth. His power level is at a solid 1000, let's say, which is still extremely impressive. They both fall under Master Roshi's tutelage, where he gives them more knowledge in terms of martial arts and ki control. It's a different perspective to the stuff they already know, but compared to the training that Bardock has given them, it's different and gives them new knowledge. Their training is completed, and by the end of it, both boys can use Kamehameha waves and have greater control over their ki. Following this, the duo totally dismantle the Red Ribbon Army. Bardock allows them to go and do as they wish. He's more invested in his scientific progress. It takes up a lot of his time and he's always making progress. Goku and Raditz easily destroy the army, acquiring the Dragon Balls, and then go on for the fortune teller Saga to face the warriors. Since Grandpa Gohan is alive here, he isn't in the group of warriors they face. This just makes it that much easier for them to gain the final Dragon Ball and beat every foe in their path. By the end of this arc, Goku's power level is 325,000 and Raditz's is 8,000. Raditz, since he was older when he was experimented on, couldn't receive as much DNA and alteration to his genotype. It does create quite a gap between the brothers, but the young naive Raditz is determined to close such gap. Next is the first clash between the Turtle Hermit School and the Crane School. Members from both teams get straight through the preliminaries and it starts getting serious in the final rounds. Now Goku is quite small, but Raditz is 21 years old. He's already had his Saiyan growth spurt, so he has an adult body. Goku though still looks the same and being quite childlike. In the semi-finals, Raditz meets Tien and Goku faces Krillin. The young Raditz stands boldly before his foe, powering up immediately. He likes to fight with less class than the martial arts of Master Roshi. This isn't how the Saiyans destroyed planets, maimed and slaughtered their foes. No, they used their true power and raw strength to brutally slay their enemies. Raditz smiles, eager to begin the fight. Leaping ahead, he breaks the arena the two fighters lay on, leaving Tien frozen. The boys turn into a complete blur and Raditz just stops right before him. The excitement in his face fades, then he lands and just stands before him. "Why did you stop?" Raditz asks. Tien almost comes to life upon seeing this. The kid finally appeared to him again. Not only that, but he thought that he froze. He was trying his best to perceive him, but it was like he teleported to appear here. "Take this," Tien shouts, using the art of surprise to try and gain the advantage. Firing off his tri-beam, Raditz steps beside it in a flash. It doesn't come anywhere near him. The beam hits his arm and that's pretty much it, a rather soothing feeling in his opinion. "Alright then, my turn," Raditz says, jumping up to headbutt him. This shoots him off the ring, knocked out and in critical condition. Raditz and Goku enter the finals. Only one of the brothers can claim the title. Now the ignorant members of the crowd think this could be a good fight. Brothers going straight through the tournament and now facing each other. Raditz isn't as magical in his fighting as Goku is, but he looks taller and more powerful. The two Saiyans make their stances, smirking at each other. Circling each other for a time, Raditz charges in and swings down his leg. Goku lifts up to evade. The power from this stomp leaves the stadium rumbling, then Raditz fires up to chase after his brother. Hurling forward a number of ki blasts with the swipe of his arm, Goku just swivels over each one to evade them, harshly detonating behind them. It doesn't even move him. Waggling his tail, Goku fires down his own ki blast to Raditz. His own moves with great haste, leaving Raditz to have to throw himself out the way at the last second. "Come on brother, is that all you've got?" Goku asks, beckoning his brother in. His usual taunting to get on Raditz's nerves. The older brother shouts up before he signals for Goku to descend. Leaping forward, they both clash and release a loud shockwave. The two haven't had the same time and focused training to control their ki, meaning that they cause a lot of damage to the surrounding areas. It makes the crowd not only excited but a little scared. Are they going to be caught in the crossfire here? Raditz and Goku then begin trading blows, going punch for punch, kick for kick. Goku is basically just doing this to work at Raditz's pace, however this serves to give the latter a false sense of confidence. It makes him think he's actually doing something when he sadly isn't. Raditz tries to land another attack with his guard less tight than before, his fist cut through the air whistling. Goku just catches it, brings Raditz to a total stop. The force just goes straight through him but he firms it then smiles. "Better Raditz," Goku says before sweeping at his legs and placing one leg on his chest with his arm still being held. The older brother grunts in pain from the forceful slam, struggling to free himself from under his grasp. "Better luck next time," Goku says, sliding him out the ring. The fight is over and Goku wins the tournament back to back. The two Saiyans continue their training, with Raditz continuing to try and cover the gap between him and his brother. It's hard, but he certainly does not lose hope. After the tournament is done, Bardock starts noticing something odd from some of the surveillance bots he has on the planet. Bardock uses them to try and maintain peace across the planet in secret. "Who is that?" Bardock asks Grandpa Gohan, pointing to one of his glowing screens. Gohan looks so surprised, just looking around at the advanced setup he has around him. Most of his keyboards and mice are glowing holograms, not physical objects. It's unlike anything he's seen before, leaving him with this surreal feeling. However, he soon focuses on what Bardock was talking about, a green warrior grabbing a sheet from the World Tournament. "What's that thing?" Bardock asks, pointing to the green man. Grandpa Gohan stays still, watching for a short while. He doesn't immediately know what it is, but after some thought a memory comes into his mind. "I remember Master Roshi saying something about this. I might be old, but Master Roshi is much older. He's seen more things. Him and his own master ended up facing this threat called King Piccolo. They sealed him up a long time ago and he was green just like this thing. That's all I know," Grandpa Gohan replies. This is interesting, more DNA for him to examine. The guy doesn't look like the nicest thing, but this buzzing sensor detects a power level of 165. Not impressive in the slightest. Bardock just flies out there to see what's happening and finds the man heading toward his base. They meet midway and Tambourine scoffs upon seeing him. "I don't wish to be disturbed, step out the way," Tambourine shouts. Bardock smiles. His confidence is quite surprising. Of course he's stronger than pretty much every human, so we can understand where he's coming from. However, this man is terribly ignorant. You're strong, but there's much bigger fish, Bardock says, smiling. Tambourine just goes in to attack him, throwing a punch. Bardock moves his head out the way and grabs his wrist, stopping him. Bardock then forces his wrist down before headbutting him. It sends him hurtling and flying around meters away. This single attack leaves a massive bleeding bruise on his forehead that also hurts like hell. Bardock then fires forward, flicking at his neck to knock him out. Tambourine begins to descend, now unconscious, but Bardock grabs him by the arm, then pulls him up to his shoulder. You're not going anywhere just yet. Let's see just what you are, Bardock says, before heading back to his lab. King Piccolo waits in his ship in the sky, tapping his throne with impatience. He begins to give glances out the windows of this ship to see if Tambourine has returned. He should have defeated the warriors by now, but no, he sees nothing at all. Has he been killed? He looks furious, stomping his foot and shaking the ship from the force. The Pilaf gang on the ship are terrified when he is so angry and make sure not to get on his nerves. He creates another child symbol and sends him out to finish what his later brother could not. Bardock places Tambourine strapped down onto a table and begins to take measurements. Based on the DNA, you can see that he is an Namekian. He then starts working on the tissue to see what it can do. The healing factor, it's there, most pronounced in the tissue he gains from his limbs. He also finds that the tissue dies or gets weaker after completing this process. This tells him that it takes quite a bit of energy to perform the healing. Symbol lands ahead of the house with Raditz and Goku. They're here celebrating with Tien, Yamcha, Krillin and Bulma. However, Bardock steps out upon hearing his arrival, another of these green fellows. Now you as well, what do you want? Bardock asks, now a little irritated. It's here's more DNA for him to analyse, but he hopes this won't happen for a long time. There are only so many bodies he can keep in his own lab. Symbol just chuckles before opening his mouth and launching a blast from it straight to the home and Bardock. The Saiyan swipes it away and into the sky, destroying it. I asked you a question, answer me, Bardock shouts at the Namekian. I don't need to tell you anything, he shouts, before jumping at him and swinging down at him. His mammoth arm swings down to the Saiyan, but he easily grabs it and uses his momentum against him. Swinging him around, he slams him into the ground and knocks him out from the blunt trauma to his head. Alright then, let's see what you're made of too, he says, lifting him up to place him on his shoulder as well. Now King Piccolo is tired of it, he has to come back down himself. The king lands before Bardock, making him quite annoyed now. He's trying to celebrate with his son, and they keep getting interrupted by these weak green people. Just who are they? Alright, so what are you? Bardock asks, almost in outburst. Well, I am the Demon King Piccolo, soon to be king of this world. I've come here to destroy all of you that are quite formidable in your own right. You might have taken down my children, but I am in a totally different realm. Do not compare me to them, he shouts, before throwing back his cape. King Piccolo jumps right into the fight without a second thought, but Bardock steps beside him and just looks at him for a time. Why are you trying to do that? Bardock asks. Why not? I am this planet's strongest, and therefore I deserve to rule over everyone else. As a matter of fact, I don't even need to answer you, King Piccolo shouts, swinging out his hand. Bardock catches his hand, his face falling cold and still. Now he knows who this person is. As he looks forward, he can see the Frieza in him, the tyrant. No, this man cannot live. The others had a killing intent, but he was sure they were just following the orders of this man. They were subservient and terribly ignorant, yes, but they weren't evil. This man here, though, is evil. Bardock begins to squeeze, leading King Piccolo to curl over and hold his arm, trying hard to pull it from his grasp. He can feel the flesh and bone in his forearm crushing and fusing together, an agonizing feeling. Bardock ends up removing the Namekian's hand entirely before slapping him with his own hand so powerfully that he breaks the loose hand and his skull. The Namekian falls dead to the ground with a bloodied head, then Bardock gets rid of the body before anybody gets too alarmed. On the lookout though, Kami has been killed due to their linked lives. Not only that, but that also means that the Dragon Balls are rendered useless. Following this point, since the 2013 Kaiichi Budokai isn't a thing, there is a massive 8-year time skip before the start of Dragon Ball Z. Goku and Raditz continue training each other, and Goku begins to grow into his adult body. He doesn't reach anywhere near the stature of his older brother, but it gives him a better foundation to work with for his techniques. Bardock also begins leaning heavily into this idea of using other equipment instead of his own power. The first thing he acquires are 2 exoskeletal arms. They are both made of an ultra tough alloy containing metals from off-planet Earth. It gives him exceptional power and durability, eclipsing any technology previously accessible on Earth. To test the powers that he's acquired, he faces his eldest son, Raditz. He slams his 2 exoskeletal arms together and it creates this dark, dull metal sound as they clang together. Alright, let's see what these bad boys can do, he shouts, waggling the fingers of the newly formed tech. Raditz sweeps back one of his legs before making his full stance. The fight is on. He begins with launching a tester ki blast. The white ball of ki soars toward Bardock, who lifts one of the dark metal arms. A weird circular opening is formed in the arm's palm and begins to absorb the power of the blast. Coloured gold glows rise up the arm to signal that the energy has been correctly absorbed. Clenching the hand of the arm, Bardock can feel the greater energy stored in them. Neat, he says. Opening the hand on that arm, that same opening begins to glow a white colour and lets out a deep roaring wave of hot flames. Raditz just jumps up before stopping and kind of just chuckling. He wasn't expecting his father to whip something up like this. Bardock even tries to aim the fire blaster up, but it's not like an energy wave. Since it's far too slow, it's extremely easy for Raditz to just fly out of the way of. Diving down, he lands ahead of Bardock before charging forward at top speed. Bardock's scouter begins beeping and flashing, letting him know that something is advancing toward him at extreme speed. Therefore, the arms whir into action and lift up against his own will, blocking the incoming punch. Raditz finds it quite odd when he sees this. He doesn't know exactly why at first, and instead of just throwing another punch, he stops and leaps back to hit him again. Jumping forward and this time aiming for a kick, Bardock blocks yet again. Now there's one thing he notices. The arms move faster than his whole body. When his arms pulled forward to block the attack, it looked like his whole body shook in reaction. Not only that, when he reached out his arm to block his kick, it looked like he was going to fall over. His body couldn't reach in time to keep him perfectly balanced. Raditz shoots an elbow ahead, but Raditz grabs it with the arms. Releasing one hand, the arm begins manipulating and shifting, forming a much larger fist that he smashes into Raditz's face. He doesn't stop there though, switching to the other side of his body to drive it into his gut in the form of a right hook. The strike lands exactly where he intended, sending Raditz back sliding slightly. However, this irritates him a little bit. The tech is useful, but there is a gap between the father and son. The rocks around the area begin to float before lifting up slowly. The long head Saiyan tightens his hands into vibrating fists before moving forward with a powerful sprint. Slamming into Bardock, he knocks him onto his back. That tech is good, Dad, but true power reigns supreme, Raditz says, looking to his lifted hand as he clenches it into a fist. Bardock lifts both hands though, then begins shooting out these large shockwave pulses. They have a very annoying sound while providing a significant physical pressure with that. Raditz holds his ears in pain before falling to a knee from the heavy force. Bardock slowly lifts up to his legs again, smiling. Your old man might not be strong in his own right, but you shouldn't underestimate what the mind is capable of. I might as well be stronger than you, Bardock says, before shooting out these weird objects. They're bright strings of energy that wrap around Raditz's arms and then plant themselves into the ground. It leaves him stuck in place and gives Bardock the perfect opportunity to prepare his attack. Raditz assumes he can just use his raw strength to pull out of this, but he soon realizes he can't. After a few light pulls, he begins tugging with far greater intensity, but finds that it's futile. He is stuck. Bardock has also fused both hands together to form this single gigantic cannon-like opening that is charging up a massive final blast. Energy continues to flood into the gear before firing off to Raditz. As soon as it leaves the barrel of this makeshift firearm, Raditz rips out a massive piece of earth with the planted part of this energy string. He lifts it up to the blast, detonating it before it can reach him. A blindingly bright light is released from the explosion, similar to that of a nuclear blast. It vaporizes that section of Earth and also launches the individuals back. The blast formed a large crater while also deforming the arms that Bardock was using. The energy fried the arms and melted the metal it was composed of. I didn't think those things would become that hot, Bardock curses himself. Raditz goes toward his father and lifts him up before nodding toward him. It might not have been enough to beat me, but I tell you, it's something else, Raditz admits, leaving a smile on his old man's face. Bardock continues the creation of his tech while also focusing on his genetic manipulations to see what he can do with the Namekian DNA that he's acquired. After 3 years is the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, and Goku just chooses to sit it out for now. Raditz is married Launch during that time as well. His power level has reached 500,000, the gap between him and literally everyone else is massive. Raditz's is 100,000 and Bardock's is around 55,000, however what is different for him is the tech that he has resorted to. Raditz has a son called Raditz Jr. with brownish hair from Launch's black and blonde hair. Goku has his son Gohan like usual. The two Saiyans do love to train and fight, but they take some time off to take a bigger role in raising their children. Raditz actually likes the role of being a father a lot more than he thought he would, having a family, just staying inside and enjoying the time gifted to him. However, this time ends. Instead of Raditz coming, since he's already here, someone else heads down to face the crew, the duo of Nappa and Vegeta. Bardock senses them entering the atmosphere, then one of his bots aims up to see who it actually is. This is when he tells exactly who they are. He brings his sons with him and the trio head off toward the two. They arrive in East City, where the two Saiyans arrived in canon, and start getting some weird looks from the people around them. This irritates the prince, and as a result he launches out various ki blasts around them to clear out the street. Not only does it kill the people in the vicinity, it razes the city to the ground. Everyone else that survives is forced to flee because there's just so much damage and fear. What did you do? Goku asks, annoyed by the loss of life. Now, he might not have hit his head, giving him a more Saiyan-like nature, but he still knows that this is wrong. These people had nothing to do with this. The rogue, the runaway, Vegeta says, walking toward Raditz with a smile on his face. He tries to act confidently. He was used to Raditz coiling over under his pressure. However, he doesn't budge. He keeps a tight eye contact and tightens his hands into fists. You better watch out, Raditz, that isn't very smart, Vegeta says. 2000 power level, higher than your expectations but still measly in comparison to us, Vegeta says. Raditz steps forward with his fists clenched. Check again, Vegeta, Raditz says with a smile before he starts releasing his true signature. It levels off at around 100,000, leaving Vegeta to take his scouter off and hurl it to the ground. It crushes on the tarmac they're stood upon. Raditz just smiles before flying forward. He flies straight past Vegeta and lands a strong elbow to Nappa's jaw to send him hurtling into a building behind them. It collapses from the impact, and since there's no further movement, it looks like Nappa is out of it. Raditz then turns and grabs Vegeta by his neck. He doesn't do much at first, just grabbing him and staring straight into his soul. His grip does not falter, no matter how much Vegeta tries to free himself. You thought I'd stay at your level for all this time, are you serious? Raditz asks, before lightly laughing. Well, look at me now, Prince of all Saiyans. Look at the gap between us, Raditz exclaims, before throwing him down. Look at yourself, look at who was going to sit in the Saiyan throne, Raditz shouts down, walking around the fallen Saiyan. He randomly kicks him in the side of his face, making him cough out blood as his head twists the other way. Vegeta strugglingly turns around fully, falling onto his hands. More blood drips from his nose, then Raditz grabs the back of his armor to lift him up and hurl him down again. He continues his brutal beatdown, and it's more fulfilling than anything. However, that feeling of superiority that he desired so much doesn't last very long. After those first few seconds of fulfillment and satisfaction, the thrill is gone. Totally and completely gone. What he is left with is this biting, hollow sensation. Is this it? Grabbing Vegeta again, he throws him up to land a powerful right hand strike to knock him out. The hit sends him flying out into a building beside them. Just like Nappa, there isn't any movement from the impact area. Come on, let's go, Raditz says. What about for when they wake up? Goku was thinking of giving one of his usual smart cheeky remarks, but looking at Raditz's cold face, he can tell that this isn't the place for that right now. He is aware of these people but never really saw them. It's quite surprising to see the level of hostility that Raditz had toward them. They'll leave. It's been a while since I've seen them, but I know them. Vegeta would absolutely hate to be on this planet at all now. Let them go, Raditz says as he flies off into the distance. Goku just follows after him. He has no objections to that plan. From Frieza's ship, the Emperor is looking out onto the number of planets in the vicinity and the midnight black space adorned with specks of white starlight. We've lost all information from Nappa and Vegeta. They were attacked by Raditz, then destroyed their scouters right after, sir, Appiel says from beside him. Frieza stays silent for a moment, taking a sip of wine as he leans back in his seat. Okay, so get a unit on him, Frieza quickly replies. There's a moment of silence from Appiel before he says something else. Vegeta recorded a power level of 60,000 before he was defeated. This makes Frieza turn around his pod to face him directly. That can't be possible. Show me immediately, he commands. He obliges. A holographic video appears showing off the power that Raditz had. He's strong and easily defeats the two fighters. However, this doesn't necessarily mean his power level is that high. It just needs to be higher than Vegeta's and Nappa's. Therefore, he sends Zarbon and Dodoria to the planet to see what exactly is happening. He wishes to bring Raditz in for questioning. Not only are the duo rogue, Raditz has been rogue for over a decade. Having a strong asset like Raditz in his empire again would be very useful. So Dodoria and Zarbon are on their way there, ready to capture Raditz, then locate the other two Saiyans that have fled. The next 10 months are spent training for the Saiyans, and Goku keeps getting further and further ahead. Now Gohan is born, and he has several strains of DNA from Goku. Saiyan, human, frost race, Kanasan DNA and more. His birth power level was 1000 and at this point his power level has reached 14,000. The two warriors enter the atmosphere alarming Bardock. He is swinging a hammer down onto a piece of metal, trying to shape it for another piece of tech that he is working on. He's lucky that he has his Saiyan body keeping him at peak strength even at his old age. If we were to assume he was 30 when Raditz was born, that means he'd be 35 when Goku was born, and then that puts him at 60 at this point in the timeline. Placing on his exosuit arms, he flies out of the building and soars through the clouds, tracking the falling pods. He stays in the air as they fall before landing ahead of them. Zarbon and Dodoria step out the pod and are surprised to see another Saiyan here. Looks like this is the new planet Vegeta. Bring us to Raditz, Dodoria says coldly. Frieza's men. You feel fulfilled following his every word like pets. You have no will, no word, Bardock claims. He feels pity upon seeing these fighters. Frieza raises his finger and makes these warriors complete his will because he is too lazy to do so. It's clear some have become so ignorant as to blindly follow him no matter the order. It just makes him feel contempt for them. The warrior slams his fists together before leaping at the man. Before he can reach him though, Bardock lifts his hand and releases a sonic shockwave, throwing him back into his pod. Him and the pod roughly drive through the ground for a few seconds, leaving him without words. He just looks down to his body, wipes down the mud on his armor, then stands back up again. He looks quite surprised, but still feels confident. Zarbon leaps up and joins in the fight himself. Bardock simply slips to the side and hits him with a close-up wave of flames. This beam is more concentrated and hot compared to the fire that Raditz was exposed to. It sends Zarbon flying off course and rolling through the grass below them. Slowly he rises up and Bardock begins concentrating the flames to be released directly at him. Instead of their usual orange hue, they don a deep blue colour. He then fires off his wave towards Zarbon, throwing him off his feet again. Harshly falling to the ground, he's turned slowly and coughs out blood. The side of his face is now scarred and his skin has been scorched through in many places. Zarbon though begins his transformation. It hurts a lot more with his burnt skin, but he powers through it to achieve his most powerful form. He takes a powerful stride forward that covers at least 20 meters before he spins around and extends his leg for a heel kick. Bardock uses his arms to block the attack and looks surprised from the power of this hit. Powerful impact detected. His counter announces, making Bardock step back. He might be stronger, but Zarbon is quite strong in his own right. His arms might be strong enough to keep up with him, but his body sadly isn't. He uses such arms to deflect incoming attacks, and it gives him the power to deal substantial damage. Aiming his fist at his face, he fires off a concentrated beam of blue flames at his face, before double drop kicking him back. Backflipping and lifting at least 100 meters into the air, he begins charging his ultimate attack. The arms fuse together and a massive white ki blast starts to form just ahead of them. Firing it down to the transformed man, it hits him right on and lights the entire area up. It resembles a star, and after the light dies down, nothing is left of both Dodoria and Zarbon. They're gone. Frieza then hears no report from his right hand men. As more and more time passes, it seems that they were defeated on that planet. Maybe Raditz's power level was true after all. That isn't an issue, he still has soldiers strong enough to get the dirty work done. The Ginyu Force. The 5-man cell head to Earth and arrive there more quickly compared to in the canon because of their proximity to Earth. Bardock starts getting annoyed about this constant invasion by strong threats. Goku, go deal with these people outside please, Bardock says, still working in his lab. Who are they? Goku asks, as he wears his usual gi. He wears his Saiyan armor from time to time. Bardock wants him to stay in touch with his Saiyan roots. However, Goku likes Master Roshi's gear more as it gives him better movement and flexibility. Some of Frieza's soldiers, just go and deal with them please, Bardock explains. Goku leaves the house then leaps up into the sky before soaring through the clouds with immense speed. The clouds part and explode outward from his intense speed and he flips to land ahead of the Ginyu Force. So these are the people Dad was talking about, Goku says, stretching his wrists. The Ginyu Force make their weird awkward pose to announce themselves and Goku just laughs upon seeing this. What are you guys even doing? Goku asks. This laughter, contempt, just makes Captain Ginyu furious. I won't let you disrespect the Ginyu Force. Get him and bring me his head, Ginyu exclaims. Goldo steps forward and stops time. Got you, he says to himself, before looking back to grab a large grey rock. It soars through the air with haste, before striking the Saiyan straight in his head. It doesn't move his body an inch and instead just crumbles upon impacting him. Goldo's head tilts slightly upon seeing his insane durability. He was sure that the rock would at least hurt him, but that's clearly not the case. This confusion soon gets washed out by fear. If that didn't hurt him, just how strong is he? Goldo stops time subconsciously, making Goku look down to the rubble that almost appeared around him. I wonder how that happened, Goku thinks, before stepping forward and punching the green man in his head. The fist is strong and cracks his skull. Now Goku is benevolent and kind-hearted still, but he isn't afraid of a little brutality as he battles. Jace and Berta rush past the fallen warrior, but Goku isn't fazed. Berta throws forward a quick jab that Goku still slips past. Jace thrusts forward his elbow straight to his chest and Goku just firms the hit. For Jace it was like he was hitting a block of pure steel. Falling back while holding his throbbing elbow, Berta then rushes in. He feels slightly humiliated to have his quickest punch so easily evaded. Now he's going in for the kill. Nobody will take the title of fastest away from him. He throws an intense and quick wave of punches and kicks, but Goku evades each one. Is that all you have? Goku asks, before stepping around to arrive behind him. The thing is, he moved so fast that Berta couldn't even track him. Goku just slams his whole hand into his back and breaks his armor, thrusting him forward. Jay swings his arm at him, but Goku catches it, snaps it in two before headbutting him and killing him with that single attack. Raccoon begins batting his chest and charges forward like a true brute. Each stride he takes shakes the ground beneath, but Goku can see he's far too slow. Raccoon heaves forward one of his mammoth fists, but Goku lifts into flight before diving down and punching him himself. His punch launches him headfirst downward and kills him on impact. I thought you guys would be more impressive, Goku says, slowly landing. Ginyu is totally frozen once he sees the 500,000 reading in his scouter. This is what he reads when he looks at Frieza. The Frieza. How could Goku be matching that sort of power? That fear soon turns to something else, a chance, hope. This is power that he could use himself. Before he can even use his mouth beam though, Goku punches through his whole chest. The captain coughs out blood and stumbles back as Goku walks forward. In seconds he grows extremely weak and then he passes out completely, being left to fall to the ground and die. The job is done and Goku just sighs. He really thought that would be more interesting. As he turns though, he senses a power coming close from the skies. Something far more interesting, a strong, very strong power. Bardock is working on his tech and completely stops upon sensing it himself. His face scrunches up once he realizes who it is. Frieza. Goku continues looking up and by his side Raditz arrives. They both sense an intense ki and don't even exchange words. They wait for the ship to descend and watch closely to see who exactly exits from it. The ship slowly opens, revealing a short alien creature that really doesn't look that intimidating. However, they can tell that the power they sense is coming from him. Now I continue to send my best men here to acquire you. I saw your recorded power levels and thought they weren't true, Frieza says, before shooing off his assistants. 2 low-class Saiyans rising to levels above every previous Saiyan Emperor, defeating the same prince without any significant effort. Prodigies, Frieza says, before arriving only a few meters ahead of them. Frieza then kicks Raditz right in his chest, shattering his armor and knocking him out. Raditz, Goku says, extremely concerned for his brother. As he turns, he has this scowl on his face and looks furious. Frieza just smiles, beckoning him in. Goku punches him right in the face and looks almost shocked to see him turn his face and look straight back at him. The Emperor lifts and swings his tail straight to his face, which knocks him back a step or two. As he shakes his head to try and take his mind off that hit, Frieza takes the chance to punch him. He lands it right on his solar plexus, and the wind gets knocked right out of Goku, knocking him back a number of steps. This attack hurt, but doesn't leave him feeling annoyed or angry. No, he feels quite excited. It's a feeling he wasn't expecting to have in this moment, but to be facing someone that is practically his equal is thrilling. Goku throws himself right back into the battle, eager to continue it. He throws 2 strong punches that Frieza dips under to kick him in his chin. As he does this though, Goku grabs him by his neck to hurl him to the ground. Frieza doesn't stay down, however, performing a swift backflip to land back on his feet like nothing happened. The 2 fighters then go back and forth, exciting Goku with every passing second. His whole life he's hoped to get an opportunity like this, the opportunity to fight like this. Both fighters land punches simultaneously, knocking each other back tens of meters. They stay put for a short time, just panting. They've both expended vast amounts of energy and look physically identical, however their minds are in totally different realms. Goku can't wait to continue the fight, while Frieza is beyond furious. Behind the veil of fatigue and nonchalance is a burning, vigorous flame of fury. How could this low-class Saiyan boy be his match? Even if this is his weakest, most suppressed form, this should never have happened. This is why he destroyed that planet, to prevent something like this from happening. It's not the end of the world though. He has 3 more forms to run through before things really get serious. Wiggling his fingers, he begins his transformation. Second form Frieza is born. He smiles at the Saiyan before blasting forward and taking him off guard. As he advances, Goku sees something happening. It's like he is thrown into another realm and can see a knee heading straight to him. Out of instinct, he falls and sees Frieza rush forward with that exact attack. Whoa, how did he see that coming before it happened? Next, he sees Frieza leap back and swing his tail at his face, leading him to evade that attack as well. Dipping down, he backflips and steps away, a little confused. Now Frieza advances again and Goku waits patiently to see his attack somehow. The image never comes and he gets hit like a truck and is dropped to his knees. He begins to shake lightly upon feeling the pain in his gut. It's nearly unbearable. He drops to one knee before receiving an elbow to his head, followed by a whipping kick that drops him to the ground. It ends up leading him to fall head first into the ground, knocking him straight out. After a few seconds though, he wakes back up. There's this faint ringing in his ears and he's left weak and hurt. He lifts slightly only to watch Frieza transform again. My previous form would have been more than enough, but I wanted to make this more seamless, Frieza says, stretching his hands. Goku ends up coughing out blood, then receives a kick straight to his gut that snaps several of his ribs. He also punctures one of his organs and is left in terrible pain. Slowly rolling over, he shouts in pain, watching Frieza's fingers pointing straight at him. The image that flashes in his mind pretty much scars him. He's going to die if he doesn't move, but as he tries to lift, he gets this intense pain in his chest. Out of nowhere, a blast hits Frieza straight in his back, distracting him. "Don't hurt him," someone shouts, with a weird robotic voice. Frieza turns, more with interest, just to see a man standing in a silver suit. Bardock. "Father," Goku whispers, before seeing a green blob head toward him. Grabbing it, he sees it's some form of bean. "Eat it, it will heal you," Bardock says. "I hope those genetic modifications work," Bardock states. Not only has he gotten senzu beans from Karin, but he has worked on that. Genetic modification is his thing, and he's modified the tree that grows them to make them faster and provide a temporary power boost to the user upon ingesting it. Goku takes it and feels better than ever. There's a standard 2x boost as of right now, bringing his power level up to 1,000,000, but with his Zenkai, his final power level tops out at 1.5 million. "What did you do to me? I feel like a different person," Goku says, pumping his chest. "Don't worry about it, son. We've got something else on our hands. Frieza," Bardock then says. All of the pent-up rage from these years comes flooding out. He's furious from just looking at this mass murderer, this tyrant, the reason he had to run away from everyone that he kept so dear to himself. "I promise you, you will not leave this planet, Frieza. You will come to an end here," Bardock declares. "Alright then, Saiyans, let's see what you've got," Frieza says, taunting them. Both of them fire themselves toward the Emperor, and Goku is immediately surprised by how fast Bardock is moving. Not only has he got his own flight powers, but he has provided immense boosters in his suit that is powered by Ki. This makes him look very similar in terms of speed to Goku. Both aim punches at Frieza, who lifts his arms and blocks them. Goku then aims a knee at his long head, but he dips down. As he is dipped, watching Goku travel above him, he lifts and kicks him in the face. His attention has been diverted away from Bardock, who lands a firm, strong forward kick to the side of his torso. As Frieza is thrown to the side, though, he spins around and throws out a Ki blast. This knocks him back at least 20 meters. He's sent sliding away, but he uses his hands to slow his slide. Goku thuds down onto the ground but lifts back up and shakes off the pain. The two then continue the fight, trying to occupy Frieza and keep him on his toes. However, since he's physically stronger than them both, it's very difficult for them. It's when Frieza transforms when they really run out of options. He reveals his sleek final form and smiles upon looking at the duo. He knows it's done. He speeds forward, ringing off all of Bardock's internal alarm systems. His suit tries its best to wear into action to protect him. However, even with all these systems in place, it's far too slow. He lifts his arms and tries to block the incoming wave of attacks, but it's useless. His single punch breaks a large number of the metal components in his arm and also launches him back. Goku takes up his attention now and he rushes at him. In the heat of this moment, Goku feels frozen. However, what does happen is that he can see everything far more clearly. The world's quality sharpens out of nowhere. Bardock grunts while on the floor, struggling to move. His suit isn't doing too good either. Right repulsor offline, servo offline, spine brace engaged. Finally, his cerulean eye has been activated. As Frieza aims forward his fist, he can see every muscle in his body contracting to make him move. These twitches are subtle but easily perceptible to him. This gives him a large time window to start moving just as the fist has been thrown. The speed at which the fist is moving leaves him greatly alarmed though. It's way faster than him. He knows he's going to have to throw himself out the way at top speed to not be hurt. He manages to just about evade, being missed by mere millimeters. The wind from the punch still throws him off balance though, leaving Frieza to slam down onto his back with his large tail. Frieza turns his attention back to Bardock, slowly walking toward him. He aims up his flashing, malfunctioning left repulsor and shoots an energy blast at him, empowering it with his dwindling Ki. The gold and white blast fires off toward Frieza, who grits his teeth and firms the impact. Even in this heavily suppressed state of his, the attack does very little. Hierarchy in this world is all for a reason, Bardock. There's a reason after all this time I kept control over you growing Saiyans. There's a reason I reign over you, and it isn't the other way around. No matter what you do, the natural laws of the universe will realign, Frieza says, staring over him now. That's a lie and you know it, Bardock says, taking off his helmet before coughing blood. You killed us because you feared us. There's no such natural law. I know that for a fact. That's physically impossible, Bardock insists. Physically impossible, a clever one I see. Well, clever for your barbarian species. Don't you realise it doesn't matter if I'm right? I'll say I am and destroy any opposition disputing my claim, Frieza shouts, aiming his hand at his face. He cackles and Goku then turns to see what is happening. Once he sees his index and middle finger glowing and aimed at his father, he rushes over there as fast as he possibly can. No, he screams, before he sees a bright pink beam soar down to his father's head. Next, he sees a splash of blood that falls upon Frieza's body. The Emperor turns with a smile, while Goku is left frozen. His blank mind soon gets filled with intense rage though, and he forces himself back up onto his feet. "I won't let you get away with this," Goku shouts, before feeling this rumbling sensation in his body. His eyes glow not blue but gold. Now Frieza has never seen the form, so he doesn't take note of this abnormality. Goku's aura switches from silver to golden and his hair follows with this same hue, however his body is enveloped in this glowing golden tint. So is the tail wrapped around his waist. This is not Super Saiyan, no, this is the golden Super Saiyan transformation. A mixture of the Super Saiyan form of the Saiyans and the golden form of the Frost race. It gives not a 50 times multiplier but a massive 500 times multiplier. This means that his current power level is 750 million. His aura and power emission alone breaks the ground. The pressure has now become physical. The power signature is enough to awake his brother, Raditz. "What is that power, this light?" he says, holding his hand up to his face. Looking between a gap in between his fingers, he's left shocked. Immediately taking away his hand, he gets a better look at what's happening. He can't believe it. Goku walks toward Frieza with his hands tight and shaking. His face is still, but the fury bubbling within him is intense, chaotic. Frieza decides to remove all suppressions out of fear of what this form could do to him. He is aware of the legend, but doesn't think that Goku could kill him per se. He just feels like trying would be the better thing to do. Sprinting toward the Saiyan, he spins around and throws out his leg for a kick, only to see the Saiyan grab it. Frieza freezes in flight, totally surprised by this Saiyan's showing of strength. In the next moment, he's being launched hundreds of meters toward a mountain. Goku then flies right at him and leaves this beautiful golden trail behind him as he does so. Flipping forward, he drives ahead both of his feet into Frieza's chest, launching through the entire mountain and shattering it. Frieza is left to cough out blood from the impact and continuously gets hit by the falling rubble, but then Goku grabs one of his arms to hurl him into the air. The Emperor fires straight through a large falling boulder and is left flipping and flying in the sky. Goku flies straight up to him though, even zipping around him in this circular coil-like pattern. Even though he's covering far more distance in this way, he's able to keep up with Frieza relatively easily. Arriving above him, he elbows him right in his back to launch him down. He then fights him in this ping pong way, hitting him around and arriving behind him only to hit him again. His punches and kicks break bones on impact and cut open his skin. Frieza is left as almost a sitting duck here to take all of these attacks helplessly. His final attack sends Frieza directly down to the ground and the Super Saiyan zooms down like an arrow to chase after him. The Emperor slams into the ground, but Goku doesn't end things here. As Frieza rebounds off the ground, Goku grabs him before he can fall again, then flips forward to hurl him into the ground. Slamming him, Frieza lays frozen there for a moment. He just stares up to the sky and can't take his mind off the agony of the injuries that he's incurred. Natural laws of the universe. I heard you when you were talking to my father. What is this then, Lord Frieza? What is this? Goku shouts, kicking him straight in his face. Not only does he break open his cheek, but he sends Frieza rolling a number of times. "Wait, Saiyan, wait," Frieza pleads. Goku had his fist lifted and waits for a brief moment. As soon as Frieza speaks though, he punches him right in his face and knocks him out cold. He then grabs one of his arms and begins walking him back to the ship that he arrived in. He walks slowly and with purpose, attracting the attention of the soldiers still in there. They waited patiently for their master to return, but are horrified to see what has sadly actually happened. The Saiyan keeps his eyes firmly on the ship and doesn't slow down for even a moment. The path to let Frieza in is still open and Goku just walks straight up to meet a huddled group of soldiers. "There's your Emperor back," Goku says, throwing him to the group. A few catch him, but one angry, ignorant soldier thinks that he can take this into his own hands. "Take this, Saiyan," he shouts, using one of his arm cannons to shoot a powerful energy blast at him. Goku swipes it out the ship and it explodes, releasing a large amount of mud directly upwards. The same soldier runs at him, but he just lifts a finger and flicks it. He doesn't even directly hit him, but only uses the shockwave released as an attack. It propels the soldier into the outer wall of the concentric ship hallway and knocks him out cold. "Take him and go. I don't want to see any of you here again," Goku declares, slowly walking out the ship. However, Frieza hasn't remained down. No, with the little remaining energy he has, he slides down the opening to his ship and launches a ki blast straight at Goku's back. Now this annoys the Super Saiyan a great deal. Turning, he swaps his hand and slices the Emperor cleanly in half. This is with the use of a ki slash, and he also cuts both of his arms off. The soldiers now rush out the ship to take all these parts of Frieza and are ready to go. The opening to such ships slowly zips up, then the ship lifts with power and zooms off at hypersonic speeds. Rushing over to his father, he returns to his base form as the fight is now over. Leaning over, he can see a hole through Bardock's activated helmet. Taking it off, he sees his father's blood-covered face. Out of nowhere, Bardock awakes, gasping for air. Strugglingly, he reaches to the side of his broken suit and reveals this odd container. Clicking a button, it dispenses a green object, one of his sensu beans. He is fully healed and gasps for air upon feeling this warming sensation. Wow, I thought I was toast there, Bardock says, wiping the blood from his face. However, Goku rushes in and tightly hugs him, bursting into tears. Don't worry, your old man won't go down that easy, Bardock says, tapping his son's back. With that, Frieza's empire isn't doing too well. His Ginyu force, his 2 right-hand men, and he himself, all have been defeated by Bardock and his family. Next, Bardock has made a massive leap in his findings. Here, he's found how to make mechanical components on the same level as same bodies. It was quite a discovery, and here he has formed his first mechanical android. After Bulma's Dragon Radar and his suit, he devoted all his time to mastering the manipulation of material and other things outside just genetics and the body. It's safe to say that it's done wonders for him. Before him stands a silver humanoid robot, the first ever android that he's created. This should be strong, but I think if I want to break that ceiling, I need to work with cyborgs, Bardock realizes. Just like Dr. GERO, he has found that true power comes in using life forms and augmenting them with cybernetics. So what is this thing that you're making me fight, Goku asks. Bardock has a glowing notebook out ready to write whatever happens here. It's an android built to face Saiyans. It should learn how you fight as you go on. Keep it light to begin with and turn things up if it does the same, Bardock explains. Goku nods with approval, then makes a fighting stance. The android follows suit, slightly twitching its head before dashing toward Goku. It throws a swift, picture-perfect jab, but Goku dips under this hit before backflipping and leaping up into the air. This android doesn't wait for him to descend and just jumps right up toward him, cracking the ground in the process. It swings up a massive kick, but Goku spins out the way of it before punching it in the face and knocking it back. He shakes off his hand after doing this. Hitting strong metal isn't the easiest thing on the knuckles. Some more attacks come his way, but he dips down and away from them, watching them fly over his face. He places his hands right on his body and falls in this still graceful manner, slowly flipping to land perfectly on his feet. The android comes hurtling down and lands before him in a Superman stance. As for its next attack, it's far swifter and lands on his abdomen, winding him. Before he can think of doing anything, he is hit straight in his chin and is lifted off his feet, while airborne the android grabs his shirt then hurls him down, slamming him into the dirt. It doesn't say a word and has this completely lifeless face. It makes it stance and only awaits Goku's next move. Okay, you got me good there, android, Goku says, turning to lift back up. He waits for a moment before trying to catch it by surprise. Aiming an abrupt, spontaneous jab, the android easily blocks it. He continues trying to think outside the box to catch it by surprise, but he just can't. He swings out a powerful overhand right, but the bot slips past it and kicks him in his solar plexus. Right after doing this, it elbows him in the side of his face. This final hit leaves him on his hands and knees where he coughs out blood. He tries to sweep at the bot's legs to catch it by surprise, but it lifts up and double drop kicks his face into the ground. Even Bardock grits his teeth from how brutal this is. He hasn't really programmed in a mode for it to take a fight more like a spar. This is all that he has really. Goku holds his jaw in pain and then sees another attack heading his way. This time though, he can see the attack before it comes and lifts to evade. In this moment as well, his left eye turns a pale red colour. Launching a ki blast straight at a certain area of the robot, he makes it malfunction. This leaves Bardock to rush right into the fight and stop it. Stop with that cerulean thing. I know that you can see the most vulnerable part of the robot, but don't just attack that part or else it will just break, he insists. I just did what I needed to win, Goku says. What is this commotion about, Raditz asks, walking over to see what's happening. I'm just testing out a new android of mine, Bardock says. Let me face it and see how good it is, Raditz says, pumping up his fist. No, Raditz, you won't stand a chance. It's best if you just stand by for now, Goku says, already lifting his arms and smiling because he knows what reaction he'll get. Keep talking like that and see what will happen to you, Raditz shouts. What, you'll hit me? You can if you want, it's not like it's gonna hurt or anything, Goku replies. Bardock steps in between the two as you can see Raditz already running over with a tighten fist. Kakarot, just leave it, Bardock says, and the suns soon calm themselves. Peace is upon the earth and everyone is having a great time. Someone in the shadows though is desperate to get revenge. It's only a matter of time, Saiyans. I'll show you who the true scientist is, Dr. GERO shouts, typing away at a keyboard of his. After Goku's near fatal injuries, Frieza has become mechanized and is headed toward Earth with his father for revenge. During this time, Goku has been training his new Golden Super Saiyan form and can now use it at will. Being the only Super Saiyan, it creates this insane gap between him and everyone else. His power level has grown to 2 million from his training and Raditz's is at a solid 400,000. Their Frieza DNA is really starting to take effect in their speed of growth. He's been training with Goku a lot and from his much greater strength it makes him grow faster in his own right. The two Saiyans stand side by side watching Frieza descend. It's not long before their father also arrives to see what is happening. Frieza has a father, Goku asks. How do you know about that? Raditz then asks. Now with Goku's Kana-san DNA, he gets flashes of what's to come. Sometimes he can control it, but in other cases the information is kind of thrown at him. Here he simply saw a vision of Frieza and this larger person that looks like him appear from the ship. "Greetings, Saiyans," Frieza says with his arms crossed. "I'm surprised you'd show your face here again," Raditz shouts, smiling at him. Frieza looks angry, but King Cole notices this. Then he tries to hide the emotions he feels to make it seem like they don't annoy him. However, these Saiyans certainly do. Goku's mercy is the only reason he lives. Some of his soldiers know this, but he made sure this was kept secret and so his father isn't aware. However, this fight is soon underway, the rematch between Frieza and Goku. Goku makes his stance and powers up into his golden SSJ form right from the start. The golden tint envelops his body and he is also given blonde hair. Frieza lands a sequence of punches, but all of them land on Goku's forearms. He can stand there and predict where they'll land and then use such arms to block the hits. Suddenly his left eye goes red, including his pupil. That's when he can see the micro movements on his skin from the components in his body. It's rather intriguing for him to look at. When he looks at normal people, he doesn't see the things that he sees in Bardock's androids, for example. Therefore, when he looks at the cyborg that is Mecha Frieza, it makes him a little surprised. He can see both organic tissue and metallic components. However, he snaps back into the battle and hits Frieza right in a pressure point. This knocks the wind out of him while also dealing grave damage. It's a technique he's been working on for this time and it's just about managing to get it down. Frieza coughs out blood and steps back. The pressure point was on a shoulder joint and now his arm is popped out of place. He immediately looks back to his father that is a little surprised by the injury that he just incurred. However, Frieza looks straight back to the Saiyan that hits him with sharp, cold eyes. Goku then smashes his fist into his face and with this single hit, Frieza is down on his knees. His world is spinning but his head is still. The Saiyan then spins around to thrust out his leg in the form of a back kick, striking him right in his chest. This launches him away and toward his ship. His nose is gushing with blood and he looks quite disoriented. However, he comes back to his senses and is beyond furious, to lose for the second time and on top of that in front of his father. His entire life his father viewed him as this powerful phenom that couldn't be touched, as the Emperor. How does he see him now? No, his thoughts drive him forward and push him to win this fight by any means necessary. He launches a barrage of precise but sharp death beams, but the Saiyan swipes all of them away with graceful hand movements. The sharp beams can't even pierce his skin and only deflect into the ground around them. From the speed at which these beams are moving, Raditz is forced to retreat. To be totally honest, he can't even see them. Just like in canon when Frieza arrived at the Z-Fighters in his final form, the beams are so fast that Raditz can't perceive them. All he sees is a flashing light from Frieza's fingers and an explosion nearby in the same instant. Goku then reaches out and just grabs the Emperor by his neck. "I told you not to come back, but no, you defied me in return," Goku says, squeezing harder on his neck. "Why should I let you live?" Frieza struggles to get his breath back, trying to rip Goku's hand from his neck. No matter how hard he tries, he cannot. "Please spare me," Frieza pleads. In this moment, he can't find a way out of this. No, his mind is too distracted by the pain of Goku's brutal squeeze for him to think of anything coherent. His wits aren't of use here. Goku just grits his teeth, seeing the arrogance and evil in the man's eyes. He knows if he lets him go, the same thing will happen again. Therefore, he squeezes harder and snaps his neck, ending everything right there. His body falls limp and still, and Goku throws him to the side. He dusts off his hands before looking up to King Cole that is interested in fighting him now. However, Goku doesn't want to carry this on for too long. He rushes in at full power, striking one of King Cole's pressure points. He coughs out blood and feels several ruptured organs. He's basically incapacitated with this single hit. He's left twitching and grunting on the floor, and Goku just stomps on his head to end it. Now, this isn't the same pure Goku that we know. This is Kakarot, son of Bardock, a Saiyan. He won't hold their deaths in his conscience for long. After this point, Kakarot turns, but then sees a purple-haired individual stood ahead of him. Kakarot isn't entirely sure who this person is at first, but can sense almost no power from him. When he looks for slightly longer, he can tell that he's a human. Not only that, but he also looks like Bulma. You can't keep looking at him for long though, as the silence is broken by someone else, a duo flying at full speed toward him. As he turns, he can see Raditz walking past him to face them. "Raditz, Kakarot," Vegeta shouts, with his hands clenched tightly. "It's great to see you again, Vegeta," Raditz says with a smile, only making the prince angrier. "I'll wipe that smile off your face," he shouts, pointing at him. Kakarot steps back and future Trunks does the same, and the other two Saiyans kind of just sit back and watch this play out. "You'll regret coming back here." Before he can say another word, Vegeta darts forward and hurls his fist toward him. However, Raditz steps out the way and catches such fist. His movement is graceful and far quicker than Vegeta's advance. Next, he spins the whole guy around and slams him down, but right after doing so, he receives a heavy, sturdy kick to the center of his chest from Nappa. His power level might not be as high, but when you give him time to throw a strong attack, he can deal damage. He's sent sliding back and feels this light ache in his chest. It does fade after a second or so though. The two Saiyans start attacking him simultaneously, very disgraceful. He's surprised Vegeta wouldn't give him the grace of a 1v1, however it's still futile. Nappa throws a punch, but Goku grabs it and throws him to the side, making him his own human shield. Vegeta ends up punching his own ally in the side of his face, leaving a large bruise on it. Raditz chuckles upon seeing this, and this leaves Vegeta seething. It's not long before he lets this growing rage out though. He begins roaring and even cracks the ground from the force of his ki charge. His eyes are bloodshot with rage. He won't accept another loss again. Now Nappa is annoyed that he was humiliated like anyone else would be. Since he's a Saiyan, these emotions are even greater. His power is so integral to himself and his identity, so it means a whole lot more. With Vegeta though, it's everything. He doesn't just have power, it's part of who he is. His purple aura is chaotic and intense, more intense than Raditz has ever seen it. So you're getting serious now, Vegeta? Raditz asks, just smiling at it. This leaves Vegeta irate. This fury though can't let him do miracles. He throws several haymakers, he just continues firing them forward, but Raditz can evade each one of them with ease. He starts even catching and throwing the fists aside, letting them fly past him. Jumping over the prince, he kicks him in the back of his head, throwing him headfirst into the dirt. Raditz then grabs one of his feet, lifting him up and swiveling him around. He begins to spin around at high speed, but Vegeta isn't going to let him throw down like before, no. Instead, he turns back to him and launches a close-up ki blast. Landing right where he intended, he smiles. However, as the smoke clears around them, Raditz just looks angry but totally fine. Slamming him down, he's cracked his skull. However, with so much adrenaline, Vegeta doesn't even notice. He returns to his feet only to receive a strong punch to his gut. Raditz landed a strong straight punch but then steps forward in his fighting stance and begins throwing a series of swift explosive hooks. They land with heavy thuds and Vegeta is too weak to deal with them. To the prince, his attacks look like complete blurs. A final clean left hook to his chin leaves Vegeta on the ground, coughing out blood and dizzy. Nappa comes charging in from behind him, but Raditz elegantly leaps right over him. As he lands, he then pulls back both hands, then fires off his double Sunday attack. This launches Nappa miles away. He crashes through a whole mountain before being sent tumbling and rolling across a vast grassland. There was no need for you to come back, Vegeta. This was always going to happen, Raditz says, twisting his wrist. Vegeta coughs up more blood before weakly falling back onto one of his arms. It looks like he's getting the strength to say something, but he randomly fires off a ki blast. Raditz doesn't knock it away though, but instead catches it. He slows it down to a stop without detonating it before pushing it straight back to Vegeta. It lands right on him, sending him rolling away. He comes to a stop, coughing out even more blood. Raditz can see he's extremely weak. He already lost the novelty of beating these two up. It doesn't even feel good for him anymore. I don't want to hurt you two anymore. I'm not like you. I don't just hate and beat on people that are weaker than me, Raditz says. If you want a problem, then no problem. I won't start anything though, it's just below me. Raditz says, walking past him. He ends up just flying away, shaking his head as he does this. Goku ends up flying away with him, and Future Trunks follows along. As he does this, he reveals who he is and why he is here. Goku lifts his eyebrows with surprise upon hearing the story though. How could there be androids that are strong enough to take them all down? His father has bots in the skies always watching, and he hasn't really picked up on anything suspicious recently. However, Future Trunks doesn't look like he's lying. I mean, he came all the way from the future to warn them, so this must be real. He tells the others, including his father, of what's to come. And that's when Bardock realizes he might not be the only scientist on this planet. This pushes him into high gear. He continues working to form these totally cybernetic androids, but finds that he can't make them as strong as he would hope. He needs a test subject to work with. Now he still has Tambourine and Symbol to work on, so he starts with them. His first is a complete failure. Theory is rarely put into place on his first try. However, in his second try with Tambourine, he gets a little something. He rotates his table so he is standing upright and can read a much higher power level from him. Upon focusing with one of his scouters, he sees the reading pass 1,000,000 before it breaks. What did you do to me? Tambourine asks. Now alarmed, Tambourine tries to punch Bardock. When his fist is only inches from touching him though, it falls totally still. It's like his body is working against him. Every fibre of his being stops him from punching him. I altered your mind to make you non-aggressive. While you're still aggressive, but your body has certain procedures in place to stop you acting out, Bardock explains. Yeah, whatever that means, Tambourine replies. After hearing this and seeing where he is, he feels like he really can't fight his way out of this. What he does notice though is that he feels way stronger. Not only that, but he feels slightly different, like there's parts of his body that are just a little different. Bardock begins watching the Namekian closely. For the first few days he's doing fine. He even gets him to do some training against one of his bots. The fight is intense and the two are almost equal. It's a fun watch, and what he notices is that both individuals have infinite energy. They're not real, relying on energy the same way an ordinary human or Saiyan would. However, he starts degrading. His condition starts off as some form of fever. Soon after that, he starts coughing out black blood. He's not doing so well. He's not dead after Bardock gets him strung up on an array of chemicals, but he can't really get off them. It's like his life support now. Time is passing and fast. Everyone around is training and Bardock isn't sure if that'll be enough. He knows how strong someone can become with this android transformation. Why didn't I realise this sooner? I was too bothered about genetics this, genetics that. I could have done this a while ago, he shouts to himself, grabbing his hair with annoyance. However, someone is there to keep him calm. Ginyu. Don't worry Bardock, you're doing fine, I promise you, Ginyu says, going in to hug him to try and calm him. It works. He slowly calms himself down and takes his mind off the struggles he's working through for a short time. Goku and Raditz are bashing their heads and sparring each other every single day. The humans are also hard at work to try and improve their strength. Bardock does jump in from time to time. He wants to train as much as them but realises that to save everyone his best shot is with his brains and not his brawn. It does go against his Saiyan instinct. It kills him to stay inside while the others are training. The years go by and soon 3D. Bardock has locked himself in his room working to finish his next project. He didn't explain to anyone exactly what it was, but he says he'll be out once it's over. Goku, Raditz and the fighter humans stand atop a rock ledge looking down on the city of Sasebo, where the destruction has started. Instead of being forced to search themselves, a mechanical bot appears beside them, a little buzzing bee. Hello fighters, follow me, I can guide you to the androids you're looking for, the robot says, before glowing like a bright lamp. It's almost like a star, and the Z-fighters have to use this since these androids don't actually have key signatures. The group follow and land all in a group, before Android 19 and 20. Greetings fighters, I must say before we get things started that I'm so grateful for your father, Raditz and Kakarot. You let his androids loose so I could analyse them. They were slightly different to mine but they gave me insight. I managed to make mine significantly stronger because of it, he explains. 19, show them what I mean, he states. He smiles before leaping ahead into flight. The first to try and take on the fight are the humans. Tien launches his tri-beam with much greater speed than was normal for him. 19 though moves with grace and swivels over it. Landing a single side kick, he shatters Tien's jaw and launches him off his feet into a nearby building. Yamcha then turns and lands a powerful punch to his jaw followed by a kick into his gut. Both kicks land on pretty much solid metal and sting a bit but cause 19 no damage. He just grabs Yamcha by his neck and headbutts him to knock him out. 19 doesn't fight with the same technicality that he did in the show. He fights in a more brazen, animalistic way. Krillin then lands a series of powerful quick punches. He's a lot shorter than the other fighters which makes his attacks naturally faster. However, it still isn't enough. 19 backhands him and lifts him into the air but then grabs his shirt and slams him into the ground before he can get propelled away. I thank your father Bardock even more for training you all to fight like Saiyans. I thought you guys fought like barbarians upon watching you at first, but from what Bardock said you were supposed to be a warrior race. So I looked into it a little more, Dr. GERO says, calmly walking. He just keeps his hands behind his back as he does so. 19 hurls Yamcha aside but Krillin slowly gets up, shaking off the pain. He fires off his special attack. The disc buzzes as it spins at great velocity, but it's still useless. All the androids do is step out the way, then the disc is sent flying off into the sky, where it slowly disintegrates into a cloud of ki. It turns out the style is formidable, and makes you more unpredictable, harder to deal with. Not only that, but it uses your strength to its greatest degree. It might not be using your speed and endurance as effectively, but it makes you strong. It made my android strong, Dr. GERO explains. Goku looks firmly at the two androids, before turning to Raditz and nodding. The two start shouting together, releasing all their ki. Seconds later, they're both Golden Super Saiyans. Raditz's Frieza genetics was small but just enough to grant him the special transformation as well. Both charge toward 19 and punch him simultaneously. 19 ends up blocking the initial attack and sends him sliding back along the tarmac. Raditz rushes forward first, swinging in a punch but 19 evades. With Raditz still moving forwards, he pretty much walks into the next punch that lands on his chest. It leaves him hurt for a little bit, but it isn't much of an issue. Goku speeds past him, landing a clean kick to the android's head. This makes GERO's face fall still. He wasn't expecting this sort of power from these Saiyans. 19 throws an exaggerated swing at the Saiyan, but he blocks and lands one of his own. The android aims to land another attack, but Goku dips under it, then swings up a powerful kick to his chin. Upon landing it, Raditz storms past him and firmly front kicks 19 away. These hits have left the android a little confused. He's working with very strong and fast individuals. It's hard for his systems to keep up. You can see his head slightly twitching, hard at work with calculations and functions. Just as he steps forward to try and fight again, Goku hits him with a Ki blast, a wave of ki and wind that leaves him disoriented for a short while. Raditz takes his chance to launch his double Sunday at point blank range. The blast disintegrates the android and breaks him down completely. He's turned to ash and defeated, leaving just GERO left. After feeling so confident and bold, he's left gulping with fear. He weighs up his options and realizes he can't stay here. Lifting, he flies off as fast as he can, but the two Saiyans chase right after him. They arrive in this odd looking place and see him shut himself into a lab. They don't wait for long, and Raditz chooses to blast the whole wall down. As it comes crumbling down, two individuals fire straight through the rocks, 17 and 18. 17 elbows Raditz in his face, breaking it and launching him into the air. 18 then headbutts Goku and grabs one of his arms to spin him away. Go and get him for me, androids, GERO orders. 17 just chuckles and turns back to him. I go on my own accord, I don't need to listen to an old man like you, 17 declares. He grabs his head and begins squeezing. It's not long before he crushes it, gruesomely killing his creator. Upon dropping him, he wipes off the flesh before turning to Android 16, still snugly in his chamber. Walking over to him, he activates the fully cybernetic android and brings him along to complete their mission, to kill Kakarot. Kakarot and Raditz are left in a wasteland, quite injured by the single attacks they received. Raditz has bruising around his ankle where 18 grabbed him, and Kakarot has a bruise on his head. Luckily they have the blue sensu beans that Bardock cultivated for them, and they eat them to also gain a temporary power boost. Judging from the injuries incurred, they'll need every bit of power they can get. Seconds later, the trio of androids land before them. Raditz gulps. Never has he felt fear like this, not this intensely. How is he going to win? It's living and dying by the shield. Raditz knows that running is not an option. If they die here in the pursuit of peace, they know they'd be gone for the right reasons. 18 take care of Raditz. I've got Kakarot, 17 states. Tapping forward. Come on then, let's go, Raditz shouts, using his golden Super Saiyan form again. 18 leaps and grabs him by the neck of his shirt before headbutting him. She then lands a clubbing strike to his head, followed by an elbow to his chest. Raditz just about manages to catch the next one, but gets rocked by another that comes shortly after. This knocks him onto his bottom and he harshly hits his head on the rough dirt. I thought this was going to be way more fun, 18 says, walking over to him. Raditz isn't going to go down like this though. He's hurt, yes, but he's a warrior. Standing back up, he shouts and lands a powerful swing. He doesn't stop there though and just continues punching. 18 blocks or evades most of the attacks, but Raditz can get lucky from time to time and break through such guard. When he breaks through though, he can't really hurt her. His attacks land, yes, but that's pretty much all they do. He begins landing punch after punch onto her face and 18 just stops blocking. He continues punching. He's in the heat of the moment, so he doesn't realise what she's doing. It takes a good few before he realises. He starts slowing down with them until he realises that she's just stopped. As he drops his hands, he can just see her smiling. She lands a quick right hand strike to his jaw and it carries enough force to drop him onto his bottom. He then turns to join the fight against Kakarot. Super Saiyan Kakarot continues to fight 17 but is not doing well himself. He swings out for an overhand strike, but the android slips past his hit and strikes him in his head before sweeping at his legs to knock him off course. As he drops, he grabs his shirt and hurls him into the air before flying after him and kicking him down to the ground. The two androids land just ahead of Kakarot, who slowly raises while holding the side of his body. The Saiyan foresees 17's next movement and gets given more time to evade, however he's just too fast. He still gets hit by an elbow to his chin, but 18 stops him from totally falling over. This gives 17 the chance to land another attack that deals even more damage. 18 is strong enough to just firm the impact behind him, but Goku coughs up blood from taking the hit. Why are you doing this? Goku asks, as 18 then grabs his limbs and stops him. Well, it's my nature, it's how Dr. GERO made me, and it feels better than ever to get it done so quickly, 17 says, before kicking his torso then punching him in his solar plexus. Goku strugglingly takes all these hits, but makes sure to stay in his golden Super Saiyan form. If he doesn't, he's most certainly dead. He takes a punch to his head, then more and more hits. They hurt like hell, but he stays firm. That's all he can do. Just as 17 aims to attack him again though, Kakarot smiles. Took you long enough, Kakarot thinks, upon seeing his next image. Bardock comes flying down from the skies and strikes 17 right in his face. He then launches out one of his energy strings that wraps around 18's left arm. Tugging at it, she's thrown to the ground and frees Kakarot. He grabs him just as he falls, returning to his base. He looks almost unconscious for a short while since he's been hurt for so long. Come back here, come on, he says, before giving him a sensu bean. After receiving this, Kakarot takes a massive gasp of relief and frees himself. What were you doing in that lab? Kakarot asks. This, I was working on myself, Bardock explains, as his helmet fragments to reveal his face. You may not see anything off about me, but I'm different, I'm stronger. What do you think you're doing, Bardock? Yeah, that's right, I know your name, 17 shouts at him, now standing. Don't worry, I know that you know my name. You're androids, and I am one as well. However, I am also a Saiyan, but before these abilities you might not remember, but you were just ordinary humans picked up from the street, he explains. He hurls the sensu bean over to Raditz. Before entering his fighting stance, he begins to shout and cracks the ground from his emission of strength. Kakarot even looks quite surprised upon seeing this. Just how strong did he make himself? Veins appear on his neck as he shouts so loud and powerfully and his hair rises. Super Saiyan Bardock is here. After consuming his own senzu bean as well, he's going to have a decently powerful boost for a short while. If they want to fight, he must get things done now. 18 charges at him, but he evades her first punch before blocking the next. As she comes charging in with a kick, he flips over it before kicking her right in the face. As he descends, he grabs the neck of her shirt and slams her down. The slam is so powerful that it creates a massive crater in the ground. 17 then takes this as a cue to jump in. However, Bardock releases a concentrated beam of blue hot flames at him. They shoot out and form this pure glowing white beam in the center as plasma is formed. The super hot blast hits him right in his chest, forcing him to try and block it using his hand. As the beam dies down, Bardock just resorts to his repulsor and fires out a ki blast. A massive explosion is released, knocking back both 17 and 16. After this attack, 16 grabs 18 before retreating. It's impractical to fight them now. Our chances of taking down Kakarot will dwindle significantly if this continues, 16 explains. 17 grunts with anger before turning and flying off. 16 follows him. This leaves the three healed Saiyans together to discuss their next move. Shortly after, the humans arrive, now healed and ready to join the fight again. As they're stood here though, Bardock's sensor picks up something odd. An unknown alien-like creature has been found in the city of Gingertown. He is seen using a tail-like appendage to consume and absorb human bodies. Send Symbol over there to handle it, he explains. Symbol, tied up to a bunch of wires and sedated, is suddenly awoken. Next, he steps out the lab and flaps his wings to enter flight. One notable difference here is his physique. He's not as fat as in the canon and significantly more muscular. The android flies up and soars the skies before landing ahead of Imperfect Cell in a Superman stance. Symbol doesn't want to waste much time here. He came into this world to follow orders and he's basically doing the same thing here. However, a good twist here is that he only follows Bardock's orders if they're reasonably ethical. He lifts and enters a fighting stance before sprinting ahead, his wings flap making him advance even faster, and he punches Cell. His heightened speed makes his attack even more deadly and knocks him off his feet. He then grabs one of Cell's arms and flips him overhead to slam him down. Lifting him up again, then spinning him around, he hurls him into a building, then leaps at him. Aiming his knee ahead, he slams into his body and launches him through the whole building. They fall into the adjacent street and Cell gasps for air after getting that last hit. Symbol just walks up to Cell, smiling at him. "Come on then, you gloat about knowing all of us, being all of us and better. What is this then?" Symbol asks, lifting his arms. Cell holds his chest and wipes his mouth to see blood. He sees this and uses his solar flare to escape at the last moment. "Annoying," Symbol says to himself, rushing right after him. He slowly lifts, shooting out a powerful wave of air under his feet before firing off into the sky chasing after him. Across the planet, two Saiyans have returned, Nappa and Vegeta. "Where's Raditz?" Nappa sharply asks, smiling. "I'm not sure, but I see someone flying over there. It could be someone," he explains, before lifting. Nappa does the same, then both Saiyans blast off. Nappa tails behind him since he's just so large, he can't fly as fast. He isn't as quick naturally and is way bigger, so air resistance plays a bigger part in slowing him down. They arrive in front of a fleeing Imperfect Cell, just what Cell was hoping for. "What is this thing?" Nappa asks. "I have no clue. Where is Kakarot?" he asks, with his arms crossed. Kakarot, while he knows of him and Raditz, they're part of his DNA, but why is Vegeta looking for him? Cell doesn't even answer because he needs to find a way out of this situation. At the same time, the Saiyans and humans are discussing what to do. "We can't even sense those androids. How do we find them to stop them?" Future Trunks asks. "That is easy. I'll send out my swarms of insect bots to locate them. It won't take long before they're found. They might not have key signatures, but they do things that ordinary humans can't do. If they identify superhuman movement or activity, they can find them quickly. What is tough is defeating them. I got lucky and caught them off guard. I also used these senzu beans that temporarily double my strength. There's something else I was thinking of that we could use. The hyperbolic time chamber. We can spend a year training in a single day. Only 2 people can enter at a time though. When a pair goes in, the others should patrol and try and keep things safe for the time being. We shouldn't directly engage the threats, but try and locate them just to know what's happening," he elaborates. With that, the group know what they must do and head over there. The first pair to enter are the 2 Saiyan brothers. As they walk over to the chamber, Kakarot stops. "What is it?" Raditz asks. Looking up, he can see Vegeta and Nappa diving down in the skies. The 2 Saiyans land on the lookout, not even in their pods. They just land, and Kakarot could see blonde hair on them in the skies as they advanced. He continues watching them, with his cerulean eye activated. "Greetings, Saiyans. I haven't seen all of you in far too long," Vegeta says, standing and lifting his arms. "What do you want here?" Kakarot asks. "Me, revenge," he shouts, tightening his fists. He powers up into Super Saiyan right there, and everyone around is quite surprised. They weren't expecting this sort of power from him. The lookout begins to shake, and Mr. Popo starts to look very scared. If they continue like this, it's not going to look great for the lookout and even the surrounding area. Vegeta smiles in this cunning but determined way. It's not just arrogance but true confidence. There's something else that he's basing this confidence on. Kakarot and Raditz can see that immediately in his eyes. Just maybe this fight won't be as easy as they anticipate. The prince leaves no more time for pleasantries and begins the combat. Of course, he flies past Kakarot and aims for the true enemy, the person he'd been training for so long to fight. He lands a clean punch on Raditz, launching him off the corner of the main lookout building and into the sky. Vegeta leaps off and aims both fists ahead, flying forward like a superhero. He even shouts in this advance, feeling his emotions fire up as he puts energy into the battle. Raditz just about flips out the way of his next attack, but is then hit with a knee to his head. He's sent falling next to the lookout and the others look over to continue tracking the fight as well. At the speeds they're whipping around the sky out, there's no hope of seeing what's going on. Raditz has already entered his golden Super Saiyan form and the tides have turned in his favour. Vegeta feels thrilled to have been landing strong, painful hits on Raditz. The months and months were worth seeing him grimace, tremble from the agony he caused him. However, the truly superior warrior reveals himself. Vegeta's powerful advance is brought to an abrupt stop once Raditz catches his punch. It falls snugly into his hand and brings him to a complete stop. Raditz doesn't stop looking at him with his glowing golden eyes. Vegeta is too focused on the fight to even notice. The prince attempts to pull out his fist from his grasp and fails. He then tries to yank it right out with all of his weight, but it's completely useless. Why don't you ever just let things go, Vegeta? Raditz asks him. Vegeta is too blinded by the fight to listen to him. He punches him cleanly in the chest with his free fist. Just as he practiced with Nappa, use his body weight, twist it, use his anger and ferocity to deal damage. Nothing, another punch, another, all of it is futile. He's too scared to even lift his gaze to meet eyes with Raditz. He just continues punching and punching his chest, but soon realizes it's useless. Stop the fight, Raditz. Cell is flying to the androids as we speak. We need to try and keep him away from them, Bardock reveals, catching both of their attention. Don't leave this fight, it isn't over, Vegeta demands. Another time, Prince of all Saiyans, Raditz says, not even giving him another glance. He flies down to the lookout and the Z-Fighters consider how to approach this situation. While this is happening, Vegeta just watches from the skies, still and ruthlessly humble. Bardock flies right off the lookout with the humans as well. They will play a pivotal role in protecting the androids and just keeping them as far away from Cell as humanly possible. In the skies though, Tien has a question. Can you turn me into an android? Now Bardock wasn't really expecting this question. He can, not at the same level as the androids Dr. GERO creates, but he can. Yes, why do you want that? Bardock asks him. Well, I feel like I can't even put up a fight if I'm not strong enough. It's like I can't even protect myself. I have an attack. I feel like if I'm stronger, it could hurt those androids and Cell. Bardock isn't too sure on that claim, but he hears conviction and sincerity in the man's voice. There's no reason to doubt him. He's always been aware of the human's wits and techniques. Fine, it won't be me that does it for you. There'll be a bot swarm that will take you to my lab. Listen to what they say and the procedure should begin. Tien nods to him and then slows down in flight. The others hear what he was saying and do think for themselves. However, the two are reluctant to get it done. It's a no from them, but they're already on their way to Cell and the others. There isn't enough time for them to make a proper choice. I'm sure that if the humans were given more time to think over this choice, they would say yes. Tien follows this swarm and arrives in Bardock's massive complex lab. Now that it's totally underground, it looks insane to see. The walls are carved in this gleaming, pristine metal and everywhere is illuminated in a pure white lighting. Even with so much equipment around, the area is surprisingly ordered and easy to walk through. Place yourself in this chamber. Temperatures will decrease drastically and with the thinness of the air you will lose consciousness. Do not fret. Before he passes out. Symbol stands ahead of Cell, arrogant but annoyed. I mean, after defeating him back in Ginger Town, he isn't scared here at all. Cell can't sense Symbol's heat-signature since he's just an android, but after absorbing so many humans, his confidence has skyrocketed. Just get out of here, all of you, Symbol shouts back. Why should we listen to you? Android 17 asks, reluctant to take heed of his order. Symbol doesn't turn back in his direction. Cell is already speeding toward him. Lifting the insect-like wings behind him slightly, it gives out that unique buzzing sound as they fly and they bash together. From this first slam, Symbol is sent sliding back. You can also feel this stinging in his forearms. He has no clue what Cell has done, but he can tell he's gotten stronger. He steps back to evade a punch aimed at his head, then fires back with a punch himself. He also catches Cell again with a hook to his chin, followed by a swiveling kick to his heel. He whips his heel around and strikes him in the chin, knocking him aside a little. Overall, the kick doesn't amount to much. The two androids end up in this sort of power clash. They place their hands together and keep pushing at each other. At first, Symbol has the upper hand. It makes sense. He has a far larger, beefier physique. However, Cell is just stronger and let him have the upper hand there. He smiles right at the proper android, but then plants his feet and uses his real strength. He pushes as hard as he can and Symbol loses his footing. It's hard to stay up with such force pushing on his chest area. His feet slowly grind through the dirt, but he soon backs up and switches his tactics. Behind Symbol though, someone arrives, Bardock. 17 immediately looks hostile, but he lifts one hand slowly. Fragmenting his helmet, it really looks like he doesn't want any problems at all. I don't want to hurt any of you, we're on the same side, we have a common enemy. That's what the other guy was alluding to as well. What are you on about? 17 asks. That being the lighter green and slimmer one. He's called Cell and his goal is to absorb you two to achieve this perfect state of his that he claims. It will make him much stronger and kill you both, of course. If that happens, we're not sure if anyone survives, Bardock elaborates. Why should we believe you? My only way to convince you is to say that why in the world would we be doing this? I want you all dead since you want to kill my sons. However, it's not your fault that Dr. GERO made you the way you are, Bardock insists. That was a mad scientist. I will never do that to an innocent person. Even for the evil, I will change them into moral beings, not use them as vehicles to exact revenge. Ahead though, the fight is not going in Symbol's way. He's taking punch after punch, swing after swing. Bardock is watching patiently to see his time to step in there. Cell drives an upwards punch to his gut, dropping him to his knees. Symbol has infinite energy, but he's in great pain. His body can continue, but his mind isn't as sure. As he strugglingly raises, Bardock steps past him and pats him on his chest. You've done well today, I can take it from here, he states, before placing on his helmet. He crouches slightly and waits with focus. He walks to the side and Cell slightly turns to stay watching him. Both don't let the other out of their sights. Bardock tries to use the art of surprise, firing a blast from his suit. The white golden blast fires off to Cell, but he smacks it away then smiles. Leaping ahead, his knee crashes into Bardock's chest, knocking him down. Cell stands firm and Bardock grunts in pain. Slowly turning to get up with his hands, he then gets one foot down and raises. It's clear his base form will not cut it. Fragmenting his helmet, he reveals a blue-coloured sensu beam. This is something that Cell isn't aware of. He knows of sensu beams, but this slightly different colour throws him off. Dr. GERO was smart, innovative. However, his broadness wasn't as great as mine, Bardock claims, chowing down on the beam. In the same moment, he fires up in a golden aura and enters his Super Saiyan form. An immediate 100 times boost to his strength is exactly what he needs right now. Crouching and placing up his mask, he sprints forward. Even without flight, the speed at which he can travel is insane. There are these repulsors around his suit that work to enhance his speed. It's hard for them to work omnidirectionally, but when he wants to travel in one direction, like forwards, they help a tremendous amount. A trail of dirt and dust lifts in his wake and he lands a snappy, powerful elbow. With the impetus from his sprint, Cell is properly launched back. Bardock snaps on him, throwing attacks with fury. Bardock was never trained by people like Master Roshi, Mr. Popo, and Corrin. This Earth style of martial arts he's totally unaware of. Therefore, the way he fights is very different to everyone else. It's with far more ruthlessness and aggression. Bardock grabs the bio-android's head and lands a headbutt before pulling it down to knee Cell in the face. Throwing it aside, he lands a powerful punch before stepping back. Now, after landing such a combination, Cell is desperate to land one of his own. As he charges forward, he runs straight into Bardock's trap. Lifting both arms, he releases two concentrated white beams of flames. The blue flames grow so hot that the air around them turns to plasma from the extreme heat. Even those around can feel just how hot these beams are. 17 and 18 have to back up quite a lot. He has no sense of pain, only a warning from his internal system. Cell lifts both hands, catching the beams, but he then feels them scorch through his skin and into his flesh. He grins in pain but can't even move out the way. The force with which they push him back means that he can't just swipe them away or anything of that sort. Pushing to the left as hard as he can, he throws himself to that side. However, he gets hit by one beam and is left with a terrible gash down the side of his face. Since it's so hot, the heat of the wound leaves him in even more pain. Cell tightens his fists and aims to storm forward, but he then feels himself getting pulled back. Bardock lifts into flight, using the servo systems in his suit to give him much better rotational speed. It makes him look like a ballerina in the sky, moving with grace and swiftness. Thin golden streams of energy wrap around Cell's wrists and stick themselves deep into the ground. Now he's left pretty much planted, he can't move in the slightest. Each tug doesn't have any significant effect. Bardock lands behind him, then flips over him. Landing in front, he slowly turns before launching a full power sound shockwave. The shockwave leaves Cell in a great deal of pain and he drops down to his knees. Soon he just lets his torso fall forward. His arms are left reached out and the strings wrapped around his wrists keep him from fully falling. Bardock slowly walks toward him before placing both of his arms together. His suit fused to form one barrel and his ultimate attack is forming. Cell can see this and looks confused at first. Of course he doesn't know what it is, however judging from the time it's taking to charge, he can tell nothing good will come of this. Soon he starts pulling at the strings on his wrist with everything he has. He even powers up, enveloping in a golden aura and pulling at them. However, he can see they're planted in the ground and goes for a different method. Placing both hands down, he grows 2 energy blasts. No, Bardock shouts, thinking he's going to destroy the whole planet. Cell shouts and fires them, and the 2 blasts slam into the ground. Instead of immediately detonating, they drive through the floor and the surrounding area intensely quakes. It's terrifying for the people on the island, they have no clue what will happen. 17 and 18 fall to the floor and stay there just from how unsteady the ground is now. With Bardock's stability systems in his suit, he won't fall, but his suit lets him know just what is happening. The suit is detecting increased instability from the ground. There could be a likely strong earthquake exceeding magnitude 5 in the vicinity. No humans nearby, so the human cost is bound to be extremely low. Send bots out for reconnaissance and resolution of the issue? No need, Bardock replies, now alarmed. Cell rips himself free, then jumps back, still facing Bardock. No, he shouts yet again, blasting forward as fast as he can. With Cell still aimed at him, he uses his solar flare to totally blind him. Vision assistance systems have been destroyed due to excessive light receipt. Bardock shouts in pain, breaking down his helmet to hold his eyes with one hand. With the other though, he launches his shockwave straight to Cell. The bio-android was a step from 17 but is left frozen from the powerful air attacking his ears and body. I won't let you, Bardock roars. Cell is unable to step forward, but 17 can't fall back. 18 isn't in the blast zone and rushes in, only to get caught in it as well. She grabs her own ears, shouting in pain. Cell reaches out with his hand but is still too far. 16 charges forward but Cell lifts and blasts him right in his head. He's taken away one of the core components of the android and leaves him dead. He slowly falls back, then he reaches with his tail. It's long enough. Latching onto the android, he absorbs him and releases such a bright light that Bardock falls back. This can't be. He can see now, but without the assistance of his suit, it's hard for him to see properly. Begin on-the-fly repairs. Use as much ki as you need, Bardock orders, covering up his face again with his suit. As his suit repairs itself and as the light dims, Cell stands in his semi-perfect state. Symbol has already grabbed 18 and flown away as fast as he could. The only person left to face Cell is Bardock. This brings him memories back to his time fighting wars on planets. He'd slaughter the race and sometimes have his closest men fall or die, then he'd be left alone in the face of a seemingly insurmountable threat. All he can do is strap on his shield and continue. There's no backing out here. Come on, Cell, show me what you've got, he shouts. Back on the lookout, Vegeta has landed beside Nappa. The others aren't even talking to them anymore. Kakarot and Raditz are just preparing to enter the time chamber. As Mr. Popo directs them to its opening, Vegeta and Nappa speed past them, forcing themselves past in Super Saiyan and shutting the door behind them. Kakarot and Raditz are left out. Kakarot is stunned. He just leaves his hands on his head. How could they have been outdone like this? What have they done? Kakarot asks with fury. Your father requires assistance. Cell has absorbed one of the androids and has transformed, an insect bot says as it flies. Turning into a bright light source, it zooms off and the brotherly duo follow it. Bardock launches his shockwave and it does a little bit to Cell. He holds his hand up to block the main wave but still fires through it and headbutts Bardock to the floor. This hit leaves him disoriented and almost confused in a way. Cell drives down the stomp but Bardock rolls out the way and uses his trapping strings to wrap around his ankle and plant him to the ground. The ground is still quaking and even more unstable than before. The two get hit by large waves and flying water from the surrounding ocean. Even the island itself is unstable since there's a massive hole not too far below them now. Kakarot arrives in Golden Super Saiyan and lands an opening punch. Cell's head knocks aside, then he lands a few punches to his torso only to see that they all do very little. As he aims to land another, Cell grabs his head and pulls it down. Striking with his knee, he snaps his nose in two and leaves it bleeding. With a slap straight to his ear, he bursts his eardrum and knocks him out in one explosive, brutal swing. Raditz takes over the fight, jumping down on him to try and knock him aside. Raditz has more weight and natural power, so can do things like this, but it's ultimately futile. Cell is far larger than he is, so he can take the slam and not even take a step to keep his balance. Then he grabs Raditz right by his arm. placing one hand on his forearm and the other higher up his arm, he pulls and snaps it. The Saiyan is left bellowing in pain and can barely stay up on his feet. Cell smiles upon seeing him in such pain. He doesn't even stop there and twists his arm around to cause the long head Saiyan even more pain. Raditz tries to step back and free his arm, but Cell walks forward. Upon doing so, he completely frees himself from the strings around his ankle like nothing was even there. Letting go, Raditz falls to his knees and receives a punch to his face to render him severely disoriented. Bardock, your assault showed a great deal of promise. You nearly had me, but the superior being always prevails. Remember that, Cell states. Lies. Bardock knows this for a fact. Frieza was the Emperor, even if Bardock hates to admit it due to his incredible talent. He had power that the Saiyans on Earth had to train hard for and unlock after so much life and death battles from just sitting around drinking wine and ordering people around. However, what they've learned is that those people aren't unstoppable. Hard to defeat, yes, but not unstoppable. Just as Cell aims to blast his head, Tien lands in front of him, the new android. Just what do you think you're going to do? Cell asks. Bardock was hoping he'd have gotten here before Cell achieved this state. They all stand no chance against him, so there's no way Tien can either. From how long it took him to get here, Bardock discerns that he's received one of his quicker, lighter android transformations. This means that he won't be anywhere near even their strength, let alone Cell's. Everyone back up now, Tien shouts, before aiming his hands forward. Now let's put this infinite life force to use, Tien whispers to himself, smirking. He then fires his new ultimate attack, the Neo Tri-Beam. Bardock's eyes light up upon feeling the ki from it. This is amazing. Cell is thrown right off his feet and smashes into the ground. Tien flies up and then begins firing them non-stop. Unlike in the canon, he feels no effect on his life force. He can continue almost forever, he believes. How is he doing that? How do these humans even come up with stuff like this? Kakarot asks. I must say, I'm a scientist, but when it comes to techniques like these, the humans have me beat, Bardock says, watching in awe. The Saiyans can't even believe what they're seeing as Tien continuously fires down Tri-Beam after Tri-Beam. With him now being an android, he could continue literally forever. Cell is not only getting pushed down here, but also pummeled. Soon he falls so far that he enters the extremely hot opening that he created with his downward ki blast. Any human here would burn to death if they landed in this massive hole. The Tri-Beams continue firing down, but he manages to throw himself out the way to miss the main beam. Slowly walking back, he's left in this cloud of smoke from his own flesh being burned. He's covered in his own blood and even loses his footing from being so lightheaded. He falls to the ground and coughs out blood in pain. Tien continues firing from above but stops feeling a resistance. Once he stops, they wait for a few seconds and don't see Cell come out of the massive hole at all. Not only is there a triangular beam like before, but it also goes down extremely far. Water starts rushing in from the surrounding ocean, but they don't hear it hit the ground. Is he done? Raditz asks. Must be. He got literally roasted. I'd be surprised if he's still in one piece, Kakarot says, with his arms crossed. Bardock sends down one of his insect bots to check what's going on, but finds that they can't go down far enough since it's just so hot down there. All they can do is take their chances and say that Cell is gone. Now, they don't jump to any conclusions for now, but power down and rest. Tien lands beside them and Bardock goes right in to dap him up and sincerely thank him for his efforts. The fighters recongregate at the lookout to further discuss their plan. Now, the fate of Cell is inconclusive. It was impossible for them to discern his current state. For now, they can assume that he's been killed. However, the Saiyans and others that arrive here are terrified to find out that Vegeta and Nappa are now in the hyperbolic time chamber. Tien is actually going to be the main force for them now. The thing is, he isn't anywhere near as fast or strong as them physically. However, the others will fight alongside him in support role. Bardock remembers of doing this all the time in the past. When someone on their squad had a powerful technique or attack, the others would simply assist such person in properly delivering that attack. If they can work together to stop Tien from getting hurt, they can facilitate the use of his Neo Tri-Beam. Symbol has brought 18 along with him to Bardock's lab as a security measure. Bardock's lab can't be sensed by anyone from the outside, even someone like Cell. For now, they must wait for Vegeta and Nappa, and they can tell that they'll be coming out with the intention to fight and possibly kill. For now though, they can wait. It's almost another day before they exit, and so they can take this time to rejuvenate and rest. Their sons haven't really joined the fight yet, but Raditz Jr. and Gohan are both interested in fighting. They're with each other all the time and even spar from time to time. A whole day passes and Vegeta and Nappa don't exit. It's only after a whole 47.5 hours until they reveal themselves. Vegeta and Nappa have extremely tattered clothing but seem like new people entirely. They fly right off the lookout with immense speed, surveying the area. They look for any signature to latch onto and eventually find one. It's a strong one, but it's not one that they can recognize. Therefore they know it's not a Saiyan. Diving down, they land and arrive in a dim, dense forest. They don't know who this could possibly be at first, but then see an odd-looking creature. Its features they've never seen before, but from the head shape and face, they can tell that it's Cell. Ah, Cell, I wasn't expecting to see you alive. I'm surprised the others couldn't have defeated you, Vegeta says. Stay back, Vegeta. Stay back now, Cell orders. However, Vegeta doesn't comply. Instead, he powers up into his Super Saiyan form. The transformation sends a tree toppling down and leaves Cell incredibly frightened. In the next moment, he sprints ahead to attack. Landing a strong kick to his chest, Cell slams through several trees before coming to a stop. Nappa then shrugs forward with long, powerful strides and lands an uppercut to launch him up through the trees. Flipping and flying upwards, Vegeta leaps up and strikes him again, knocking him even further up. The two continue in this manner, and it looks like they're playing ping pong with Cell subjected to the roll of the ball. Vegeta grabs one of his arms and swings him up to then let Nappa hit him down with a double axe handle. Now Cell lands back on the ground and isn't terribly hurt. He knows that he can fight back in at least some form, however this is not the extent to their abilities. Vegeta and Nappa land, then Cell pounces himself. Punching Vegeta square in his jaw, he follows up with an elbow. Nappa then throws two strong punches, but Cell can evade both before reaching for one of his legs and slamming him down. Nappa grunts in pain but then sweeps at Cell's legs and rolls away to rise back up. Upon doing this, Cell uses his solar flare to leave Nappa temporarily blinded, then throws an unrelenting vicious combination of punches and kicks. Nappa tries blocking them by just putting his arms out every now and again to predict, but it's useless. Cell can see his random movements and just aim for an area that he's left open. Vegeta comes in to stop this, grabbing onto one of his arms. It slows him down for a brief moment, but Cell just lifts him off his feet and chucks him. Vegeta rolls away, then Nappa steps back once his vision begins to improve. There's no use in you fighting me. I'll take you both down if I need to, Cell claims, looking at them both. They stand at both sides of him, so he has to keep turning between them so he doesn't fall victim to a surprise attack. You're far too naive, Cell. This is nowhere near our full power, Vegeta explains. Now, Cell has really had to try up until this point. Nappa and Vegeta are individually below him, but not by much. That means that when they're fighting him together, he has to give it his all. Just what could these annoying Saiyans be hiding? Vegeta crouches down slightly and begins to shout. Nappa does the same. They start charging their ki and the ground shakes from their power output. Their auras rage and flow around them chaotically. Cell steps back a lot so that they're both in their field of view. He just doesn't feel safe being closed in like that. After a bright release of light, the Saiyans stop and it doesn't look like they've changed very much. One thing that Cell does note though is lightning now crackling and swirling around. I present to you Super Saiyan 2, Cell, Vegeta shouts, lifting both hands. Cell's been given a lot of knowledge, but this he's totally unaware of. He doesn't know what to think and that unknown makes him scared. Scared? I'm not scared at all, he tells himself, beginning the fight. He aims for Nappa first. He felt that he was far slower than Vegeta and only marginally stronger. This means that he'd be an easier warrior to fight. Punching him, and with the impetus gained from flying, he's landed a strong hit. However, Nappa steps back slightly, mostly tanking him. Cell throws another, but he evades and hits him with a massive haymaker. Cell is left stunned, stumbling back a little. Before he can get a stable footing again, Vegeta knees him in his back, dropping him. We're not even here for you, Cell. However, I do want to get a little warm-up before we get to the Saiyans, Vegeta explains. No, wait, I'm not at my full power yet. If I find another android, I'll reach my full power. You want to defeat me when I'm not even at my full strength? Cell asks. Now this leaves Vegeta and Nappa intrigued. Their Saiyan minds are arrogant and battle-hungry. They can't wait to see what this full-powered form of Cells has in store for them. They're sure they'll still come out on top, but it might be a better fight. Therefore they let him go and just wait to see what he can offer them. Soon Cell sees Raditz and Kakarot on the ground besides a large modern looking home. This might lead him to something. Landing, he can see they were already getting ready to leave. They received word from Bardock's bots that something was happening and came outside to get ready to leave. However, who they see surprises and shocks them to their very cores. This guy again, he really didn't die, Kakarot realizes with surprise. We're going to need to get TN, Raditz states. No, Cell says, landing. I don't need you to get TN, I actually need something else from you. Go inside and get Android 18 for me, he orders. Raditz and Kakarot fall silent. They really don't want Cell to achieve his perfection. If he does, he will be unstoppable. There will be no going back. Tell me, Cell roars in Raditz's face. He doesn't budge. He's been in many life-threatening situations, Raditz. Standing up to a stronger foe isn't impossible, but to say he isn't scared would be a lie. He just knows that the very last thing he should do in this situation is back away and show fear. He powers up into his golden Super Saiyan form just to make sure that he has a foundation. Even so, Cell punches him in his face, knocking him down. The power behind that shot leaves him dazed, unable to rise again. Then the bio-android turns back to grab Kakarot's arm and squeezes on it. He can feel the muscles underneath straining and squeezing together. Wait, he calls out. He gives in, he has no other choice. He walks into the lab to see Bardock working with Android 18 just sat next to him. They both seem unbothered once he enters, but Cell storms right in behind him. He looks around with haste to try and find his target. Run, Kakarot shouts to her before turning and blasting Cell right in the face. This doesn't hurt him, but throws up a cloud of smoke that can hide them away. 18 manages to slip past Cell, who can't see her. He does catch a glimpse of her in this dense smoke cloud, but as he reaches for her, she's already slipped away. Bardock and Kakarot, the two Saiyans in the room currently, are in a very tough situation. They both power up, with Kakarot going into his golden Super Saiyan form and Bardock entering his own Super Saiyan form. Alongside this, Bardock lifts his arms and calls upon the parts of his suit to assemble. His helmet equips and they ready themselves. Instead of fighting, Cell turns and flies off. His mission isn't to kill Kakarot, it's to get 18 right now. 18 flies off, but Cell is faster and can still see her. Blasting off at top speed, he roars and puts everything into closing that gap. It does over time, and these two are crossing the earth at lightning pace. Cell manages to close that gap, reaching out his hand and grabbing onto her leg. He pulls her, then begins to violently spin before crashing into the ground below. He leaves a large dirt trail, and 18 just manages to escape as they roll. Reaching a decent distance away from him, 18 tries to escape. However, Cell isn't going to let her out of his sight. Leaping up, he takes a powerful stride to charge ahead. Just before he can reach her though, he's hit by a powerful blast that he knows all too well, the Neo Tri-Beam. It launches him off his feet and leaves a painful burn on the side of his arm. Looking up, he sees him, Tien. Shouting, he just gets hit by another, then another, then another. Tien continues firing them off, slowly descending to land so he can fire this blast horizontally. His job isn't just to hurt and kill Cell, but to keep him away from 18 now. Run, Tien roars. Bardock lands next to 18 and launches a powerful shockwave from his suit. It's aimed at Cell and hits him, stunning him for a brief time. This gives Tien just the moment he needs to land another Neo Tri-Beam. It hits him and knocks him at least 100 meters away. However, he's not going down without a fight. Exploding with power, he lets out this massive wave of energy. A collection of wind and ki knocking back every single fighter in the area. Tien even gets flown back way further than the others since he's actually weaker than them. This is when Cell launches a barrage of ki blasts. This keeps the Sea Fighters occupied. While they're knocking them away as to not get hurt by them, he sprints past them. It's too late. He backhands Bardock aside and absorbs 18. Once she's fully captured in his tail, Kakarot goes in to try and hit him. All he does is hit this translucent shield now cloaking him. He then kicks him, also to no avail. No, he thinks to himself, before Perfect Cell is revealed. He doesn't say a word, as he did in canon. He just checks out his new form, throwing some light punches to the air and stretching. Kakarot goes in to attack him again. This time he runs in and throws a jumping kick. It has power behind it but has no effect. Cell doesn't even look in his direction. He tanks the attack and acts like he wasn't even hit in the first place. Kakarot then swivels around and goes in for a heel kick with his left leg, but it's also futile. Cell doesn't take note of any of these attacks. Instead, he just backhands him, and with this single swing, Kakarot is knocked out. He slides across the terrain and stays totally frighteningly still. Does anyone else want to get in my way? Cell asks, still stretching his fingers. Bardock takes the shot first. Tien would be their best bet, but he's currently being held up by Raditz. He's grown weak after that explosive wave from Cell. He's almost a glass cannon. His attack power is phenomenal, but his body just can't keep up. Bardock's suit transforms and the arms combine. Finally, a chance to use his own attack. As it charges, it gains the attention of those around him. They've never really gotten to see this power in use, and they can tell it's powerful. They can hear his suit wearing up into high gears, and the light at the end of his arms is very bright. It looks like he's created his own star right there snugly in his palms. This attack places a heavy strain on him though. It eats away at his ki reserves. He can already feel the growing fatigue, but it's close to done. All Cell does is look straight at him. After achieving this form, his confidence has skyrocketed. Bardock plants his feet and grits his teeth. The blast is fully ready. You'll wish you didn't let me finish this off, Bardock shouts, before closing his eyes. He holds his arms firm and the light from his arms grows so bright that Cell's smile fades. The white blast fires out the hole, knocking Bardock off his feet. It fires forward and hits Cell square in his chest. Nobody can even see this though, as the entire area lights up in a pure, intense white colour. The light dies down and he looks just as Cell did in canon after Vegeta's final flash. Bardock really did a number on him. From his upper torso and above, his body's been destroyed. He's left to stand there, twitching and stumbling, but he relies on his healing powers to return to normal. His upper half is restored to its original state and his true form is returned. He's covered in this odd disgusting goo, but other than that, he looks fine. Nice try, saying, but it'll take a lot more than that to kill me. Sadly, you don't have what it takes to bring me down, Cell says, before charging forward. In the next moment, he drives his hand through his suit, then his chest and the other side of his suit in one swift motion. He breaks through the metal like paper and also leaves Bardock in great pain. However, he doesn't scream or moan. He's left stood there with blood coming out his mouth and nose. His eyes look still and weak, close to death. Nice try. Bardock falls to the ground and is gravely injured from that vicious stabbing. Blood loss is now life-threatening. Ice release systems will cool and seal the wound. Senzu bean will be delivered. He grits his teeth from feeling the cold cover his open wound, then the senzu bean stored in his suit is dropped into his mouth. He summons the little strength he needs to chew on it and just about swallows before he passes out. He's left unconscious there for a few seconds but jumps up to life from out of nowhere. Upon waking up, he backs away because he knows how dangerous Cell is now. After getting hurt like that, he knows there's no way he can win this battle. Speeding past him though is Tien. Aiming his Neo Tri-Beam at him, he hits it. However, Cell just closes his eyes and tenses up to take the attack. It hurts him, they can tell. However, it causes him very little to no injury at all. Cell then launches a quick beam of ki at Tien, piercing his whole body. Now, the android can't take this wound as easily. Tien is much weaker than him and stumbles before falling. He holds his chest in pain and notices an alarming amount of blood. Looking up again, he sees Nappa and Vegeta standing ahead of him. Back away, weaklings. We'll deal with him for you, Vegeta says. Don't think you're excused. You're all next, Vegeta shouts, turning back to Cell. So this is the perfect form that you were hiding. I don't see anything special about you, Vegeta says. Cell just laughs from his comment and ignorance and lifts off his feet. Flapping his wings and zooming forward, he lands a gut punch on Nappa. He's sent sliding back and even in Super Saiyan 2 is in great pain. He falls to a knee and then receives a heel kick to his jaw that knocks him down onto his hands and knees. Cell then turns to Vegeta and throws out a Ki attack. A wave of Ki and wind slams into Vegeta, lifting him off his feet and launching him. Cell then lands a snappy punch to Nappa's face, knocking him out completely. The giant warrior slowly drops, throwing out a cloud of dust from below. Turning back to Vegeta, he sees him flying right in his direction. He slips past his first punch before tapping away his next. Vegeta continues with all his speed and Cell can simply dodge or parry his hits. He's just so much faster and stronger than the prince that there's nothing he can do. As Vegeta aims to throw a hook, Cell catches his fist and headbutts him. Grabbing the neck of his shirt, he lifts before hurling him downwards. Vegeta harshly crashes into the ground, coughing out blood. You know what? I'm going to give you weaklings a chance. Go and make yourself stronger. Do whatever you need to do. In 10 days, I will host an event called the Cell Games. Bring the strongest warriors that you can to face me. If nobody can beat me, then I shall destroy the Earth, Cell states. He won't destroy the Earth, Bardock calls out in disbelief. Why would he destroy this planet? Where would he go after that point? He knows not to fight Cell, but he feels that he can test him on that claim. You think I won't? I don't need Earth to survive. I don't need this society. There's more beyond this lowly planet anyway, isn't there? Cell says, before aiming his hand downwards. A ki blast grows in his palm and starts releasing intense waves of air. No, I believe you. I'm sorry. Bardock calls out, with alarm. Cell chuckles before destroying the blast. The group then huddle together. Vegeta and Nappa, of course, just fly off. They don't want to be a part of the group with the others. They have other matters to deal with. Future Trunks has just been watching this happen really. He hasn't been strong enough to have any sort of impact and it's so surprising to see the differences in this timeline. It's weird. He thought the only difference was his arrival, but he can tell that's not the case. Goku is called Kakarot here. Raditz is alive. His father, Bardock, is alive and well and is as smart as his mother but also a fighter. Of course he doesn't want to showcase alarm and make himself the center of attention for no reason. Therefore he just tags along to make sure everything goes as well as possible. Before anyone goes into the time chamber, Bulma and Bardock join forces. Bardock has several strong bots and training equipment. Only 2 people are allowed in the chamber, but since these androids are inanimate, they can place them in capsules for them to be used in that realm. He has autonomous bots that are very strong, that could challenge even the Saiyans when they're in their base forms. Raditz and Kakarot then go into the time chamber, watching closely to make sure Vegeta and Nappa don't sabotage them at the last second. To enter with the gear that Bardock gave them and begin their training. During this time, the other humans make a choice. Yamcha and Krillin had to become androids as well. Now that they had more time, the process could be longer and more meticulous for them, therefore they'd become even stronger. Tien as well would need some enhancements. He received the quickest android procedure to begin with, but he needs to get even stronger. The three of them all entered chambers in Bardock's labs, and several autonomous bots rushed around as the process began. At the same time, Kakarot and Raditz are working hard to surpass not just Vegeta and Nappa, but Cell as well. This is when their Frieza DNA starts to shine. The progress they make in this time is almost alarming. The two unlock the next stage of their transformations in the chamber, Gold and Super Saiyan 2. Not only that, but they know that something else is in store for them. When they train and power up into this form, they can feel the next stage but struggle to find it immediately. After a day and a half, Kakarot and Raditz reveal themselves. The two Saiyans look like new men. Both are wearing some extra Saiyan armor that was stored in the capsule, and they have still focused faces. The next people to enter will be Bardock and future Trunks. Here Bardock almost takes the boy under his wing. The way he fights is very raw and untrained. You can tell that he's had some form of training, but it's nothing too impressive. He faces the bots that Bardock brings in and struggles against them. However, his Saiyan blood means that he grows from every fight he gets into. Since he's a hybrid Saiyan as well, his growth rate is tremendous. Bardock is training himself and also making astounding progress for a Saiyan. He's brought in a number of Senzu beans, and so the two of them can receive Zenkai boosts almost immediately after long and tough training sessions. After they exit, the humans decide to head in. Krillin and Tien head in together, with each of them having the idea of creating new techniques. Krillin has an idea for his solar flare technique, a way to blind people even if their eyes are closed. Along with that, Tien has to form a stronger version of his tri-beam. This means their training isn't spent battling like Saiyans, but meditating and thinking. They try different things and learn from each other to try and get a better understanding of ki control. By the end of their training period, they have something. Krillin has intensified his solar flare to form a special technique earlier, the solar flare times 100. Tien has also developed a stronger form of his Neo Tri-Beam. It's more similar to Piccolo's Light Grenade and Bardock's Ultimate Blast, where it takes a lot of time to charge but is very powerful. His infinite stamina also means it can't tire him. He can use the attack endlessly even if it is slow. The group take these last few days then to rest. They have their bodies in the right place but need their minds there as well. 10 days soon pass and everyone is ready. Future Trunks has longer hair than before and has tied it back. He is stood beside Kakarot and Raditz, and then there are the group of humans, Yamcha, Tien and Krillin. The group come together at the edge of Cell's gridded arena and the first fighter takes the stage. This is Bardock. "Greeting Cell," Bardock says. "Bardock," Cell replies, with his arm still behind his back. "I just wanted to say that you made a grave mistake here, Cell. Us Saiyans thrive with time. Give us the opportunity to train and we will catch up to you. You had the upper hand before, I admit that, but that is no longer the case," Bardock explains. His gleaming silver suit assembles across his body and he makes his stance. "I see you fixed your suit, but I can still destroy it again," Cell shouts. Lifting, his wings buzz as he flies forward. The fight is on. Bardock aims forward one fist and releases a powerful shockwave. However, Cell flips right over it and drives down a foot to kick him in his helmet. The impact is strong and sends the Saiyan down onto his back. With him down, Cell looks to finish the fight off right here. However, Bardock shoots up his plasma beam, forcing Cell to lift a hand and block it. Even in this perfect form, Cell looks to be in pain from this concentrated beam. It leaves his skin scorched and he shakes it off after, but then kicks Bardock in his side. Heavy physical trauma received. Large contusion and fractures detected. "Yes, I detected that too," Bardock states, before lifting. Instead of charging in again, he starts doing something odd. He begins to run in a ring around the arena. He does so in an explosive, swift manner and uses his suit's servo system to keep him rushing around in a rotational way. He has the arm closest to Cell extended and pulling these key strings around the bio-android. At first, Cell can just rip them apart and pull at them with his raw strength. However, Bardock begins using both hands and lifting into flight to circle him more quickly. Soon, the rate at which the strings are lengthening and trapping him is just too fast for him to free himself. They grow incredibly tight and trap him. Everyone in the vicinity can't believe what they're seeing. Bardock might be weaker than Cell, but he's used his own intellect to gain the upper hand. With Cell strapped down, Bardock launches a full power shockwave at him, leaving Cell disrupted and irritated. After using that attack, Bardock began to use his ultimate one. The blast fires off with intensity and strikes Cell directly. The entire area lights up and half of the arena is shaved off. Along with that, Cell's upper half is destroyed just like before. Bardock spent this time upgrading his suit and growing stronger to try and make this attack work. It had already caused so much damage when he used it on Cell 10 days ago, so surely it could work now. Some of the humans watching thought that might have been enough. However, they can see that Cell's healing process begins. His upper half forms up again and he's returned to normal. Cell, after taking that attack, is short of breath and angry. Half of the strings around him have scorched off, so the bio-android rips through the remaining strings. Now he looks rageful. Darting toward Bardock, he grabs him by his chest, then knees him in the gut. Bardock, even in this tough metal suit, can feel every single punch, every single kick. Sal elbows him in the face and knocks off his whole helmet from the force. Then he punches him right in his nose and snaps it before landing another that breaks his cheekbone. Blood shoots out from the Saiyan's nose and mouth and he stumbles down to one knee. The group had hope, but they can tell that the fight is now over. Cell grabs one of his arms and throws it, causing him to spin around. After that, he kicks him in the back and launches him right off the arena. Bardock is defeated. Who's next? Cell asks, smiling at the group. The group start to talk amongst themselves about who wants to go next. They know that their best chance is with Kakarot. Raditz tells them all about what he saw in that chamber. It was insane. He has potential way beyond his expectation. If there's anyone that could do it, it's him. Kakarot steps up onto the arena and faces Cell. He's already had his father Sensu been giving him a 2x power boost. Cell enters a battle stance and so does Kakarot. Powering up on the spot, he powers up into his new top form, Golden Super Saiyan 2. With a 2000 times total multiplier, he's grown immensely powerful. Dashing forward, he leaves a series of after images that leave Cell confused for a moment. Then one of them pounces and strikes him. Cell doesn't even see the attack coming and takes the hit straight to his jaw. It knocks his head back and he manages to block the next one, but there's something different about Kakarot. He's grown tremendously powerful. Cell throws a downward elbow aiming to hit Kakarot on the top of his head. However, he steps back and launches out a blast to knock Cell away. The two fighters charge forward again, clashing their forearms. The impact is so loud and strong that the arena cracks apart and debris is sent flying around the place. They begin exchanging blows and slowly upping the gears. At first, it looks like Kakarot is fighting on an equal basis, however, Cell starts to edge him out. It starts off with him landing one more shot in their exchanges, catching him with a hit in a weak spot of his guard. However, this evolves into complete domination from the bio-android. Kakarot throws out a jab, but Cell taps it away and lands a monstrous punch. Then he lands a strong liver punch before swinging out his elbow to strike him in the chin. He continues firing attack after attack and the Saiyan can barely keep up. He reaches out both hands and blocks the next hit, but then receives a swinging kick to his chin that drops him. The hope of the group really starts to dwindle upon seeing this. 10 whole days and this is what you give me. I know, right? Awful, Kakarot says back. He says so with complete confidence in himself and calmness. It's a little weird to hear at first. Why would this Saiyan be so confident? He's about to lose this fight, however Kakarot's been hiding something big. You think I went in the Cham Chamber for nearly 2 years and came out like this? Really? He asks Cell. This only confuses him. I mean, he can tell he's grown significantly stronger. You can't comprehend him getting any stronger really. That's when Kakarot smiles. Let me show you a little something, he then reveals, powering up. His hair then begins to grow in length and the ground grows very unstable. This isn't just like the earthquake they felt on the island before, it feels like the ground is going to cave in on itself. Many people in neighbouring cities are terrified at what's happening. Glass windows on towers are shattering, covering the streets in glass debris. The chaos is growing intense. Every major news headline is commenting on this. Even the Z-fighters watching this are in awe. The only person with a straight face is Raditz. This straight face soon changes into a prideful smile. Kakarot screams and reveals his new form, the Golden Super Saiyan 3 transformation, an 8,000 times total multiplier. He stares down Cell with glowing golden eyes and slowly walks toward him. Cell tries to keep him away with a quick ki blast, but Kakarot knocks it away with ease. It flies off into the sky and detonates, then the Saiyan pounces. He punches Cell right in his chest and breaks several bones. He makes the man cough out blood, then he swerves around to land a swinging kick to his back. This knocks him onto his knees, then he lands a clean and snappy punch to his jaw. The impact is so strong that it leaves Cell almost knocked out for a time. After about a second or so, he returns to consciousness and flies off after taking that hit. His confidence has vanished in under 3 seconds. He just can't understand what is happening right now. How has he been humiliated so easily like this? He was programmed to believe that in this perfect form he would literally be perfect. There would be no stopping him. Cell shouts with anger and dives down. He just can't accept this loss. His punches hold more desperation and emotion. He's no longer fighting from a mental high ground as if he's fighting inferiors. He might just be the inferior one now. Cell continues throwing punches, but he just can't hit Kakarot. He can slip past every single attack with ease. He just cannot be hit at all. He continues to slip around the place with an annoying fluidity and swiftness. Kakarot leaps away from him and the two take a short break from the intense battle. This wasn't supposed to happen. It was supposed to be impossible. Instead of being left frozen and defeated, he becomes furious. You think you can beat me? Let's see how well you do with that on Earth, Cell roars. He pulls back both hands and starts charging a full power Kamehameha wave. I'll destroy everything you've known and loved. You might be a strong warrior, but let's see how you fare in the abyss of space, he roars. Kakarot lifts a single finger and then launches a small beam of ki. Just like Frieza's death beam, it fires through Cell's chest and the blast disperses. He remains frozen in position for a short moment before falling onto his side. He coughs out blood and holds his chest in agony. Well, that was very anticlimactic, wasn't it? Kakarot says, walking over to him. Wasn't it, Cell? He then asks, before just laughing at him. Raditz can't help but chuckle. Kakarot can't do a thing to suppress that cheeky nature of his, even in a time like this. I was thinking I could keep you alive and trapped or something, but I can see that there's no need, Kakarot realizes. Aiming both hands down, they glow, then he fires off a number of powerful ki blasts. The arena is destroyed and the entire area starts to break apart. Those watching the fight must back away to get out the blast zone. Kakarot thinks these are just some casual ki blasts, but the earthquake starts up again. Soon they stop and Kakarot looks around with a little surprise. Where did everyone go? Below him, every part of Cell is gone. The Saiyan has broken him down even at the cellular level and there's no coming back for the bio-android. Dr. GERO's plans have been completely foiled. Some of these fighters feel a little bummed out because they train quite hard to not even fight themselves. What is coming next though is the long 7-year time skip in between the Cell Saga and Buu Saga. By this point, Bardock is getting quite old. Raditz will be 42 at the beginning of the Buu Saga, and Bardock had him when he was 30 I assume for his what if, so this makes him physically 74 by that time. Of course he hasn't reached the same point of extreme aging yet, but that's around the corner. That's in the future though. Now he's still working extremely hard on his tech. His bots are getting stronger. His understanding of genes is getting better. Not even that, but he's getting to the point that he's got AI minds smarter than him working alongside him. This is all at the grace of Dr. GERO's discoveries. During this time of peace, he found Dr. GERO's lab and searched through the entire lab to learn more from him. That's when he found his supercomputer, an intelligent AI model that could help accelerate his findings. During this time as well, Vegeta and Nappa end up rethinking their revenge. Nappa has grown tired of it. He hates that they humiliated and overpowered him in the past, but there comes a point where you just let it go. It just isn't worth it anymore. Vegeta took it far more seriously, however. He pretty much obsessed over it. It was everything to him, but that was until he met Bulma. That's when he calmed down. That's when he realized that he couldn't let it consume him. He still trains and wants to overpower the other Saiyans, but he has calmed down for sure. Once Vegeta is with Bulma, this almost brings Vegeta and Nappa into the group. They start to meet the others in non-hostile ways for things like kids' birthdays and other events. This leads them to calm down even more. There are times when they heat up at places, and sometimes fights do break out, but it's a lot tamer than it once was. The World Tournament is on the way, and Vegeta has been spending a lot of time to prepare for this. He's been taking things slow and calmly recently, but this is where he can turn it up. Here Gohan still participates. Now his life has gone completely differently to how it did in canon. In this timeline there's never been a point where he's had to fight for his life against a really strong foe. He's always been training out of sport and due to his great talent. That means that he's still quite strong. Stronger than you'd expect. I'd place him above even Mecha Frieza from his training, but not quite at the level of canon Cell. I'd put him around the strength of canon semi-perfect Cell. Gohan does manage just a basic Super Saiyan transformation here and it's very difficult for him to maintain. His body just isn't as well conditioned in this timeline and as a result Kibito isn't as impressed. Yamu and Spopovich go in to attack him but things are already different. Bardock has had his bots surveying them for a long time and already knows where Babidi's spaceship is. One of Bardock's bots arrives on the arena and swats Spopovich away with a light kick, then all it takes is a light shockwave to knock Yamu off his feet and more than 20 meters away. Then this bot shoots out the same key strings that Bardock manufactures. They wrap around the fighters and the tournament is pretty much done right there. Bardock alerts the other Z fighters to what is happening and they head to the spaceship that has been found. What is even happening here? Kakarot asks as his hair flows under the slight breeze. I'm not that sure. I found this guy's ship not too long ago and I've just been watching over it. Nothing much has happened and I couldn't find anything on it at all, Bardock explains. Bardock has his suit assembled here and it's a totally different suit to the one that he used back in the Cell Saga. He's given it a bunch of different upgrades. Dabura reveals himself from the ship and rushes up towards Kibito. He aims a hand at his chest but Kakarot grabs his hand and aims it up. The blast just fires up and then he snaps his hand with a simple pull. With a broken wrist, the Demon King screams in pain and tries to free himself but cannot. Kakarot slowly pulls such hand down and maintains a strong terrifying glare at him. Dabura begins to tremble with fear. He can feel that the end of his life is near. Kakarot spins and hurls him down before leaping down and kicking him toward the ship. Your friends were going to hurt my son, Kakarot shouts out at him. Come on then, he then says, smiling. Show me what you've got. Come on, let's go, Kakarot continues, signaling for him to advance. Dabura stays still for a moment and weighs up his options. Instead of running, he accepts his offer and shouts, charging forward to continue the battle. He throws a punch, but Kakarot just steps past it and evades. It moves like a snail to the Saiyan. Another comes his way, but just in the same way he can evade. He grabs the next punch and spins it away before striking at the Demon King's side. It leaves him winded and terribly hurt. He sways to the side a little before his legs give in. He falls and Kakarot lands a vicious kick to his head to knock him out. Alright, we're done, he says, in a surprisingly bubbly tone back to those watching. It's a bit weird how cheery the guy can be since he can fight so well and brutally. They enter the spaceship and Babidi pits them against the different fighters he has in store for them. The first is Pui Pui and Tien is all they need to deal with him. You're a fool for choosing this fight, you should have at least got the Saiyans to fight me, Pui Pui claims. Now Tien can feel this gravity. He's never trained in gravity chambers and didn't live on planet Vegeta, so he can feel it. That's all the sensation is though, he can move his body relatively freely and feels no real strain. Pui Pui goes in to attack him, but his strike just bounces off his chest. Tien just lands a quick punch and that's all it takes, the man is defeated. Next, Raditz faces Yakon and all they need is his transformation into Golden Super Saiyan to give Yakon too much light energy to absorb. In doing so, he explodes and is defeated. The last fighter is a weakened Dabura, and Bardock takes him on. The suited up Saiyan covers his head with his helmet and stands firm. His suit is no longer silver but a darker matte colour. There are some black areas, some dark blue areas and some dark grey. Then there are the holes for his eyes that glow a pure white. Dabura starts the fight and dives down toward the old Saiyan. He swings in for a punch, but Bardock just shoots out a strong shockwave at him. His shockwaves are even more powerful and make the demon's ears bleed from their intensity. It also throws him off course and throws several rock pillars before he lands on the ground. Bardock slowly descends and as Dabura rises, he takes a strong fireball to the face. It knocks him down and scorches his skin as well. Bardock slowly walks to him and Dabura crawls away from him. It's all he can do now. Each movement is clearly painful for him, but he powers through and continues trying to escape. As he continues falling back, Bardock just continues walking him down. Lifting a hand, his palm starts glowing and the white blast fires out. It hits Dabura and lights up the entire area. Once the light dies down, Dabura is completely gone. Bardock is teleported back to the ship and Babidi finds his target, Vegeta. He attacks his mind, causing him to drop to his knees. Those around immediately look alarmed and don't really know what's happening. What's going on? Do you know? Bardock asks his systems. Something is off about his brainwaves, but other than that, I can't detect anything, a voice calls out in his suit. He turns Super Saiyan and grabs his head, then pulls at his hair as he shouts. Lifting into flight, it all stops, then he lands. Margin Vegeta is born. He smiles at the crew menacingly, and everyone is then teleported to the World Tournament. What is going on here? Raditz asks Vegeta. Don't ask questions, fight me, Vegeta shouts, pointing at him. Raditz looks to the others and the large group of fighters are all pretty confused. However, Vegeta seems very serious. I'm not going to fight you, Vegeta. I thought you were over this, Raditz states. Over this? How could I be over it if I haven't won anything? How can I be over it if you're alive? Vegeta aims at the crowd and grows a ki blast. Raditz, they're not a part of this. Don't do it. You know it's wrong, Raditz pleads. Vegeta just laughs in reaction, launching the blast. As the golden blast fires off his hand, Krillin's Destructo Disc slams straight into it, slicing it in half and detonating it. It then flies off into the sky and disappears. Quick thinking, Krillin, Tien says. Raditz grunts with annoyance. He knows that Vegeta is not going to take no for an answer. As a result, he accepts his fight and the two of them go off to start their fight. Margin Vegeta and Raditz face each other. Raditz just shakes his head lightly. He cannot be bothered with this. Vegeta powers up into his Super Saiyan 2 form before flying straight at Raditz. Raditz enters his golden Super Saiyan form and blocks his first punch with a single forearm. He then steps out the way of his next attack, then leaps up and off the rock he was on. The fight has begun. Vegeta continues with a true sense of focus. He doesn't let his opponent out his sight. Raditz continues on in a more defensive way. He parries and blocks hits but rarely dishes them out himself. He continues flipping around the place and then grabs Vegeta's next punch. The Margin throws another and Raditz catches it all the same. Do you not see? Raditz asks, before pulling his arms down and kneeing Vegeta in his chest. The attack knocks the complete wind out of him and leaves him in terrible pain. Raditz then punches him in his face and knocks him off the pillar they're stood upon. Raditz leaps down and lands beside him to just kick him again. Vegeta is not taking these hits well at all. He wipes his face to see blood gushing out his nose and mouth. Forget about this trivial revenge, Raditz shouts, before kicking him again. Kakarot is stronger than me, way stronger than me. Do I let that consume me and train every minute of every day to try and surpass him? No, Raditz shouts, before grabbing him by the neck of his shirt. There are more important things in this world, Vegeta, more important things than just power and needing to win and everything. "You're weak," Vegeta shouts, shoving him away then slamming a ki blast right into his face. The attack is strong, but Raditz just shakes his head with anger, and anger alone. The attack doesn't really hurt him. He then rushes forward and grabs him, slamming him through a whole rock pillar. Raditz then punches him in the face, and again, Vegeta coughs out blood then receives another punch to his face. The long head Saiyan punches him again, then powers up into his golden Super Saiyan 2 form and punches him again. This punch forces him further into the ground, and Raditz just punches him again. He's grown tired of this needless conflict. "I've got a family now, Vegeta, so do you. There are more important things in this world than just fighting and fighting. We're not primal warmongering Saiyans anymore. We're warriors, yes, but there's no need for this extreme competition." Vegeta can't even move anymore. He coughs out even more blood and continues just looking up into the sky. He's been defeated so badly that it leaves him with no words, just thoughts, a bunch of thoughts. Raditz can tell he has a lot to muse over and leaves him to it. He knows he hasn't caused him enough injury to kill him, so leaves him there. He walks out the crater he's formed and returns to his base form as he climbs. Once he nears the edge, a sharp fast beam of ki pierces his chest, particularly his heart. It came from behind him, and he turns with shocked, still eyes. Vegeta stares at him before lightly chuckling. Raditz stumbles a little and loses his footing as the rock he stood on falls loose from the crater. Falling, he's knocked out, and that might be it for him. He won't have long before he's dead and gone. Vegeta's light chuckle then turns into an intense, maniacal laugh. Meanwhile, the others are standing before an odd brown ball. After the intense fight between Raditz and Vegeta, Majin Buu is summoned. Instead of letting whatever is to happen, Tien aims forward and launches his Super Tri-Beam. It takes a few seconds to get ready, but it soon fires off and flattens the surrounding area. Every fighter watching this has to lift their hands to block their eyes since the light is so intense. Babidi is even quite alarmed at how powerful that attack was. "Whoa, you could destroy the whole galaxy with that thing," Kakarot says and laughs with disbelief. They think it's pretty much done. Tien turns and prepares to leave, but feels Kakarot's hand on his chest stopping him. Turning, he can see a pink gas collecting in the sky, condensing to form Majin Buu. "No, he's back," Shin says, with a deep sense of sadness and fear in his voice. "Do not worry, Shin. We'll get this guy for you," Kakarot says, cracking his knuckles. "To be honest, I think the humans have what it takes to deal with this one. Go on, guys," Kakarot calls out. The three androids nod to each other and start walking forward. It's go time. Tien stands at the front of the group, then Krillin begins. Hurling forward his destructo disc, it buzzes as it cuts through the air and slices Majin Buu cleanly in half. After this slice, it lifts and disintegrates in the sky. The two parts to him fall, but merge back together, and it's like he was never even hurt in the first place. Krillin then chooses to enter the fight himself. This is when we see the true abilities of the android humans. He lifts a cloud of dust from his insane speed and punches Majin Buu right in his large belly. Even with the high force behind the attack, it does nothing at all. His fist bounces off the pink fighter's gut, then he goes on to land a relentless combination of attacks. He continues and continues to fire off with them. With his infinite stamina, it allows him to endlessly throw these attacks. Majin Buu though takes every single one then backhands him. Krillin is literally launched off his feet and into the ground, and this prompts the other two humans to join in the fight. They both rush Majin Buu and try to attack him from separate sides. They might individually not have the power to take down Majin Buu, but together they might just get it done. Tien aims for a punch, but Buu blocks, before catching Yamcha's own. Tien can step back since he hasn't been held and launches a ki blast at Buu. He just swats it away before lifting Yamcha and slamming him. Next, he hurls a blast at Tien, who catches it just before it detonates. It strains his arms, they start shaking from how hard he must push. After a few seconds, it just detonates anyway, and he's thrown back with great force. He gets sent rolling and rolling through the dirt and now has scorched hands. There's no point in trying anything else. They can't win this fight with just hand-to-hand combat, and so must resort to something else to get the win. Tien aims both hands at Majin Buu in a triangular formation, and a bright white light forms in his hands. At first, nothing too odd is happening, but once the Kais feel the energy this human exudes, they get intrigued. The three-eyed fighter then roars with vigor, firing off the powerful blast toward Majin Buu. The shockwave from the blast knocks the other androids back, and Tien fires again. Majin Buu gets broken down into smaller bits, but the android just keeps on firing. He holds nothing back and just continues firing. He'll stop once he's bored. Majin Buu continues getting broken and broken down until the fight is nearly over. Tien just continues going and doesn't really know when to stop. He heard of Shin explaining to him that Buu has better durability than expected. He doesn't die from punches through the chest or things of a similar nature that would kill others. Therefore, he wants to make sure that he gets the job done now. After his firing ceases, nothing is left of Buu, not even a single remnant of him. After constantly firing that blast at such a high intensity, he gave Buu no time to regenerate and just made his physical state worse with every passing second. Majin Buu has been totally defeated. That's all they need to hear. The Kais are overjoyed to find that Babidi's plans are foiled, but someone else doesn't look too happy. Kakarot looks around with a coldly straight face before flying off without a word. Bardock then receives some tragic news. No, how could this be? How did Vegeta defeat him? Bardock asks his suit, catching the attention of the surrounding warriors. They thought Raditz would be done with him in no time, then returned to the group to join the fight again. Kakarot flies through the skies with tears flowing down the sides of his face as he zooms forward in Golden Super Saiyan. Landing, he sends a bunch of rocks flying up and locks eyes with Majin Vegeta. His eyes twitch, and he turns to Raditz, who is coughing out blood not too far from death. An autonomous bar of Bardock's creation comes storming down and tends to the fighter, and Kakarot gives his brother some of his own ki to also help with the recovery. His shouts of pain and torment fade for a short time, but the bot reiterates to them that he is not stabilizing. "What did you do?" Kakarot shouts, turning back to Vegeta. "I did what I should have a long time ago." Before he can finish off that sentence, Kakarot launches multiple laser-like blasts of ki through his body, killing him. He falls totally still overwhelmed by what he's just done. "I'm sorry to tell you, sir, but your brother has passed," the bot announces. Kakarot then just looks at the ground. This can't be. Bulma is in shock at what her husband ended up doing, and Nappa just feels so bad for them. He thought that Vegeta was over it, but from how he was acting, that clearly wasn't true. Of course, if he didn't become a Majin, this might not have happened, but all it took was that little transformation for his whole mentality to change. He still held on to it. He couldn't shake off that sense of inferiority he always felt. Unlike Goku and Kanon, who is pure of heart, Raditz and Vegeta do not receive bodies. They're left in hell amongst the others that reside there. Back on Earth though, they're determined to revive them. Mr. Popo speaks of the planet that Kami hailed from and his ability to create magic balls. Maybe someone else living on that planet could have that ability and grant them a wish to revive their friends. Kakarot hopes this is true. However, they need a spaceship. Bardock can survive in space with his suit, but not for long. He'd have to make routine stops to nearby planets to eat food and rejuvenate himself. That's when Kakarot tests something. He has some of Frieza's DNA, Bardock told him, and Frieza doesn't need air to breathe. Rising past the atmosphere, Kakarot can't help but laugh. He stops breathing, but there's no pain. He can just stay up here as long as he likes. This gives them a lot of hope. To be honest, they don't need anyone else to tag along with them, so the father-son duo head on their way by themselves. Since they're not carrying any humans along with them, they can just enter space alone without a spaceship. The great thing about space is that once they start flying, they just continue going at that speed. It's pretty much a vacuum, so there's no resistance as they fly. This also allows them to travel way faster than they could have ever done back on Earth. The two Saiyans arrive on Namek, and Kakarot is in awe at the serene atmosphere, the lush blue grass, the flowing green waters. Bardock was a spacefaring warrior back in his time. He saw many more beautiful planets than this one. However, their mission isn't to just stand here and take everything in. They need to find a way to bring back Raditz. Find your way around this planet, show me what you find. Look for the Dragon Balls as well, Bardock explains, letting out a swarm of small bots into the sky. They survey the area to try and find anything and do an amazing job at that. It takes a while for the bots to travel across the large planet, but they find a lot of things. They soon find Guru, who agrees to let them use the Dragon Balls. You can tell there is evil within them, but they have good intentions. They gather the Dragon Balls and revive Raditz, and also revive Vegeta. With the final wish, Bardock chooses to do something about his age. Make me physically half my age. Now nothing much happens. It might just make it harder for him to grow a beard and things like that, but the main difference will be when the fast Saiyan aging process will begin. With his age halved, it will start way later. After this, the two Saiyans leave and peace is returned to Earth. After a good few years, Beerus awakes and heads to Earth to meet the Saiyans there. He arrives at Bulma's birthday party on the cruise ship. He completely ruins it looking for the Super Saiyan God. Just like in canon, Vegeta is the first one to go up to him. However, Beerus is not buying it, not one bit. The two fighters stand against each other on the boat before lifting into flight. Beerus signals for him to advance, and the Saiyan Prince does just that. Dashing forward, he powers up into Super Saiyan and aims for an elbow. Beerus evades, then lands a swift hook to the side of his body that rattles him. Vegeta makes sure to fall back after this, now hauling his side as well. "You're going to need to put more effort in to hit me, Super Saiyan God," Beerus says, in a mocking tone. Vegeta isn't willing to take this, and powers up into his Super Saiyan 2 form. His aura now has crackling electricity, and his power level has doubled on the spot. Charging forward with both arms aimed ahead, he cocks back his right fist, then throws. Beerus yet again dodges and lifts over his attack before dropping both of his legs onto his back. The attack holds great strength and leaves the Saiyan rattled. He can feel the force of the strike distribute through his whole body, and it's a rather unsettling feeling. It just lets him know how strong this god really is. Looking up and at the god, it's clear he isn't even trying. His breathing hasn't intensified, he sees no movement in his chest, he's as calm as ever. Vegeta then takes things up a notch, going for 100%. Those on the boat know what's about to happen, then signal for the boat to change direction. They know that this transformation will be quite the turbulent one. Super Saiyan 3 is not just a strong but unstable form, it's incredibly hard to master, and no Saiyan on Earth has come close to doing that yet. As a result, a lot of ki leaks and damages the surroundings. Vegeta screams at the top of his lungs and activates his strongest form. His frame looks more muscular and athletic than before, and his face is way stiller and more focused. He flies up, spinning laterally as he does so, and throws out a kick. It lands square on Beerus' chest and creates some distance between the fighters. However, its efficacy seems limited to only this. He doesn't dwell over it and just continues. He throws a series of attacks and you can tell that they're good. He's throwing them with his usual technique and effort and can see they're about as fast as usual. The only difference is that they're not landing or even getting remotely near Beerus. The god taps away one of his punches before finger flicking him on his forehead. This single attack launches him back and he travels away with haste. He ends up stopping about 40 meters away, holding his head. Once he pulls his hand away, he can see a large amount of blood in it. Soon he feels it dripping down his nose and beside his mouth. Just what monstrous power does this god possess? Nevertheless, Vegeta powers on. He's a warrior. A painful finger flick isn't going to stop him. However, he still can't do anything to Beerus. Even when he tries to be as fast as possible, sacrificing fluidity and technique, it does nothing. Beerus arrives behind him and lands a firm neck chop that knocks him clean out. Vegeta, knocked out, falls into the waters beside the ship and Bulma is horrified. She screams out with horror and fear, but the others console her and assure her that Vegeta is not dead. It looked like that, but they can sense his heat signature and it isn't fading. Kakarot looks into the water and remembers his time out in space. He could survive without air or even air pressure around him, and so he thinks he could be fine underwater. Diving into it, he flies through it to grab Vegeta and raise him out. As he does so, he can't stop looking at Beerus. After being Earth's strongest warrior for such a long time, he hasn't really had a good fight. Even when Bardock uses all of his witty technology, it isn't enough. He can use his battle intelligence and power to eventually subdue him. This is the best chance that he'll ever have of getting a good fight. Beerus lands back on the boat and everyone is looking at him a little differently. Everyone except Kakarot are a little startled by the god's presence. He is extremely strong, and if he acts out, then they're all pretty much toast. If you want a better fight, you should be fighting him instead, Raditz says, pointing to Kakarot. Are you sure? I didn't see the Super Saiyan God form I was hoping for. If you don't have a form that looks vastly different from what I just saw, I'm not interested, Beerus says. No, don't worry, I'm way stronger than Vegeta. My form's a little different too, Kakarot claims. Vegeta goes up to try and attack him, but is stopped by Nappa, who is currently holding him up. Beerus waves his hand for him to start and Kakarot does just that. He lifts up into flight and begins his own transformation. Just like with Vegeta's, it's chaotic and releases a lot of ki but releases less. This is because he has significantly more control over it, even if he hasn't mastered it. He unlocked the form several years before Vegeta did. And of course, as we know, Kakarot is more talented than Vegeta. Moreover, he has Frieza's DNA to supplement this, meaning that he can make progress way faster than the other Saiyans. The two fighters begin yet again and Beerus can immediately see what Raditz was talking about. Kakarot speeds forward and flips forward before driving his heel toward Beerus. The god doesn't get hit by such a flamboyant attack, sliding past it with his arm still behind his back. Kakarot continues on though and stays resilient. Kakarot goes in to land a bog standard punch but flies around him and kicks him in his back. This attack lands, but purely because Beerus allowed it to. This gives him a significant amount of confidence, and even the others down on the cruise are surprised to see this. They just saw Vegeta get nowhere near him and now Kakarot is doing far better. Kakarot throws forward an elbow then drives up an uppercut, but Beerus blocks both attacks. After this, he lands a straight jab to the Saiyan's head. It lands on his forehead and nearly knocks him out. He can see his vision swaying and he even starts descending from losing control of his flight. However, the Saiyan launches out a ki blast to try and keep distance. The ki blast fires out, but Beerus just slips past it. Even if Kakarot had slightly better chance, it's not enough. He ends up getting punched again, then takes a kick to his side. These three attacks alone are sufficient to take Goku down, and now they work toward getting the Super Saiyan God ritual done. They haven't got Dragon Balls on Earth for this, and therefore they have to go to Namek. Whis offers to take them there, and so it takes them under a minute to get there and back. Here they perform the ritual, and they have more than enough Saiyans for the job. Nappa, Vegeta, Raditz, Bardock, Gohan and Kakarot are all they need and the job is done. Kakarot's hair turns to a pale red and his aura becomes fiery, but this is not the extent to his transformation. He lands, but then falls to a knee, clutching his chest in pain. They wonder what is happening and the other Saiyans rush to his aid. However, Kakarot rises up with his hand raised out to show that he's okay. With his hand out though, he tightens it into a fist and begins shouting. His hair starts raising and his aura becomes chaotic and intense. Those around him wonder what is happening now. It's nothing like what they were expecting. Shenron didn't tell them anything about this. Kakarot's hair rises and his hair starts changing to an orange hue. His aura follows this same colour shift and his aura suddenly blasts outward. Once it calms, Kakarot does as well. He then looks at this new form of his in surprise. "Is this what you were looking for?" Kakarot asks. "To be honest, I saw a red form, but this is more than good enough. Shall we begin?" Beerus asks. The fight begins again and things are immediately different. Kakarot can feel it in himself. The power rushing through him is something else. Kakarot's fist barrels through the air and creates a shockwave just from its trajectory. Beerus can't help but smile upon seeing this first punch coming his way. This is exactly what he had come here for. Beerus blocks the hit with his forearm and can actually feel the force behind it. It isn't pain or aching of any sort, of course not, but it's something. Kakarot does not stop there though and swings in for a kick. You can feel that he is significantly stronger and is working to make himself more confident. This means he's not going to shy away from any attack even if they don't land or deal damage. He knows that trying to be a perfectionist now will not win him the battle. Beerus blocks this as well before slamming his palm onto Kakarot's chest. It knocks the wind out of him, but he falls back and takes a few deep breaths to handle the pain. It hurt him, but he didn't feel out of the game like before. Speeding forward, the fight continues and both fighters are elated. This is exactly what both fighters came here for. Beerus has a smirk and Kakarot is literally smiling from ear to ear. "You're doing well, Saiyan, but you're still only fighting me at a fraction of my strength. I expected more from you," Beerus states. "Yeah, I wasn't going all out either, to be honest," Kakarot replies. This makes the god furious. Why would this mortal be holding back against him? This is preposterous and quite frankly disrespectful. Beerus grits his teeth and begins the fight again, punching Kakarot clean in his jaw. He aims for another attack, but Kakarot swiftly flies over his extended leg and arrives behind him. It lands cleanly, but doesn't cause any noteworthy damage. The god turns and lands a strong neck chop, leaving Kakarot to cough out spit and blood. Subsequently, he lands a powerful side kick and launches him more than 50 meters away. The fight continues and Beerus simply has the upper hand. No matter how hard Kakarot tries, he just can't win. The task of beating Beerus seems insurmountable now. They work their way into the upper areas of the atmosphere, but the Saiyan isn't bothered by the thin air surrounding him. With his Frieza DNA, it means that the thinner air doesn't affect his performance or well-being. "You fought well for a mortal Saiyan, however you are well below what I came here expecting. As a result, I will get rid of the planet that you know and love," Beerus says, throwing his hand to the planet. "No, you're not serious, are you?" Kakarot asks. Beerus doesn't reply and just creates a ki blast. This is when he realizes that he isn't lying at all. He thinks back to how the old Saiyans used to act and it makes a lot of sense to him. Certain people out there don't see anything wrong with destroying planets, killing innocents and more. Some people are just like that. This makes Kakarot angry though. He isn't totally aware that it's kind of Beerus' job, but then again he wouldn't care. Down there is everything that he's loved, everything that he's built for himself. He's fought to the death on that planet numerous times to protect the inhabitants and nothing will stop him from doing that once again. Kakarot can feel himself growing rageful and from his past he knows that this means power, ultimate power. Therefore he lets it all out, he lets his mind go haywire, he lets the rage command his every thought and action. The ki blast has now turned into something terribly different. It's large and clearly powerful enough to destroy the whole planet. Meanwhile Kakarot is changing, he's finding something more. Kakarot has a vein up the side of his neck from shouting so loudly and vehemently, and his hair changes colour. It switches to red and then darkens to a blood red hue. His aura switches to a fiery colour but then darkens to that same colour. The pupils in his eyes vanish and he darts forward. Charging headfirst into the large planet buster, he destroys it by slamming into it. It bursts apart and Kakarot looks straight at Beerus with his pupilless eyes. This confuses him. How has he completely changed appearance and also demeanour? What form is there above the Super Saiyan God form? Not only that, but how has he unlocked such form in 30 minutes? This confusion soon fizzles out and is replaced by excitement. Just what does he have in store for him now? Kakarot roars and flies straight toward Beerus, throwing a powerful punch. It lands cleanly on his chest and knocks out one of his teeth from the attack. Beerus is also knocked back several meters, then the same continues. He drives an uppercut into his gut before following with another punch. Each punch carries ferocity and insane power beyond what Beerus was anticipating. Kakarot kicks Beerus toward the earth, then pulls back his hands to charge his Kamehameha. His ball of energy for the blast isn't the usual blue but instead a dark red, almost black. He fires down the blast toward Beerus and it's an intense energy wave that Beerus is forced to catch right up. He tussles with it and it's hard to even keep at bay. This is certainly something he wasn't expecting. He looks back, seeing the earth gradually growing larger. He's actually getting pushed back. No, the god won't stand for this. He won't be humiliated like this. He's been holding back, but the Saiyan is going to get a taste of a god's true power. He pushes into the blast as hard as he can and disintegrates it. Kakarot's rageful face falls slump and still. This he's never seen before. He was expecting him to maybe push past the blast or tap it away with his strength, but this is something else. Beerus darts forward, leaving a clean purple trail in his wake, and strikes Kakarot cleanly in his chest. The punch is enough to knock him out cold. It shakes himself up completely and he's left to slowly fall back towards the earth. Before he can fully fall down there though, Beerus catches him. He remains silent and just looks at him. What sort of Saiyan is he? How are the Saiyans under Frieza if they've birthed someone of this caliber? Anyways, he returns to Earth and says that he's impressed. He hides his true feelings and everything of that sort, but makes sure to elaborate what happened to Whis. The Saiyan showed me this odd form of his hair went dark red and he became immensely powerful. He lost his head and became like a beast, but it was unlike anything I'd ever seen before. How was he able to do that? Beerus wonders. Not only that, but he was fine in space. He just stopped breathing, but it didn't look like it affected him, Beerus adds. Very peculiar. Whis can't give a concrete answer right now, but he will make sure to look into it. After this point, the Saiyans soon end up training under Whis. The prospect of getting God Ki for themselves and training up is simply too great of a prospect for them to miss up on. Bardock doesn't aim to stay on the planet for long though. He might have the body of a Saiyan half his age, but he doesn't have the same mind. After living for so long and fighting in countless battles, the idea of fighting strong foes is getting less and less interesting. He loves spending time with Gohan and Goten, his beautiful grandkids, and his wife while also working on his technology. It gives him a sense of true fulfillment, something he never thought he'd get as a soldier under Frieza. It's amazing, but God Ki has opened several new doors for him. He's normally used Ki to power his suit and other things, but once God Ki enters the equation, everything gets way better. His suit immediately becomes significantly more powerful, and there are also other effects. The usual shockwave that he uses in the suit becomes intensely powerful, capable of forming craters and even rupturing eardrums. Not only that, but his ultimate attack can be charged instantly and has grown more destructive. With a more powerful suit and technology, he ends up with another mission after his time training under Whis. He'll send bots across the galaxy in search for stronger, more durable metals to form his next suit, his ultimate creation. Not only that, but he'll use them in the creation of other AI models to make them even more intelligent and useful. For now though, he's learning under Whis and is making astounding progress, just like the others. With a bit of genetic manipulation and great care, he grows his very own senzu bean tree on the planet and is of great use to the others. The tree of luscious blue beans accelerates their progress greatly and makes the training a whole lot more enjoyable since they don't get bogged down with soreness and fatigue for too long. During this time, someone is revived using the Dragon Balls on Namek, Frieza. He returns to the role of Emperor with his now smaller empire but aims immediately for Earth. He's here to not just restore the state he was ahead of, but to restore his honor, to get revenge on the Saiyans, particularly Kakarot. He thinks of those piercing golden eyes, those disdainful eyes. He cannot wait to get revenge, to get back at that Saiyan for all that he has done. He arrives on the planet and releases his army. However, what they meet is something they weren't expecting. A group of robots arrive and the soldiers don't look too scared at first. Autonomous bots of this level aren't seen in other planets, so they don't expect much. They're normally used for just basic labor and homely duties, not in battle like this. At least that's how it is in other areas of Frieza's empire. The first group of soldiers storm forward toward one, but are all destroyed by a single sound shockwave. There is rupture, but not only that, their organs and things vibrate around. It causes internal bleeding and crippling nausea, taking them out completely. The small group of bots easily handle the much larger group of soldiers, reducing their numbers at an alarming pace. A bot grabs one soldier to immediately pull their arms behind their back and slam them down. Right after, the sky lights up as if the sun's had a supernova. They can't understand what is happening at first, and many of them become blinded. Even Frieza does as well. Then a golden blast comes firing down and takes out at least 100 soldiers. Then a single small golden ki blast fires around them with immense speed. It's almost impossible to see when it moves, and each strike into the soldiers either gravely harms them or kills them. The three humans, the golden trio, Tien, Krillin and Yamcha. Yamcha's Spirit Ball continues to take out soldier after soldier, then Tien launches his Neo Tri-Beam once again. It has a very wide blast zone and as a result takes out at least 500 soldiers. It's incredible to see, and everyone is gone very soon after these three arrive. The only soldiers left are Frieza's new right-hand men, Shisami and Tagoma. The two men stand forward and Tien wants to take them both on. Shisami begins, bullying toward the human. As he cocks back his fist and shouts, aiming to throw, Tien dips slightly to watch the fist fly right over him. In that same moment, he lands a clean punch to his chest that goes straight through him. In one clean movement, the man is dead and gone. This leaves only Tagoma, but Tien doesn't want to even waste time on him. If Shisami was as weak as he was, what's stopping Tagoma from being that uninteresting? He hurls forward an intense Ki blast, a simple wave of Ki and wind. Just this blast breaks the man's armor and sends him sliding back along the grassland. He falls to a knee after the Kia blast is done, then ends up falling down completely. Just that blast knocked him out and Frieza is quite frankly appalled. Aiming down 2 fingers, he launches his signature death beam and kills him. Without a second thought, he turns his attention to the warriors before him. He steps out his pod and walks forward while the other warriors do not falter and fall back. No, they stand their ground until they're only about a meter from each other. I'm surprised you warriors haven't retreated. What do you possess to wield such confidence? He asks, with his hands behind his back. Krillin reveals his destructo disc and throws it at the Emperor to begin. He dips under it once he sees it coming, but it slices his entire pod in half. It also shaves off a large portion of the cliff edge behind them. Yamcha then charges forward and makes his hands resemble claws, his Wolfang fist. His hands swiftly move, turning into blurs from the immense speed. He's worked and worked to perfect this attack and it does surprisingly well. Frieza dodges the first 2 hits but is caught by the third to his face and the fourth to his chest. Yamcha continues and lands about half of the attacks that were thrown and leaves a minor bruise on Frieza's face after he's done. Tien lifts and fly over Yamcha, cocking back both hands before firing his concentrated Dodon Ray. It's not as strong as his signature move and so Frieza manages to catch it. It causes him to slide back and dig his feet into the ground, but he hauls it away at the last second. It's not a graceful movement at all and he slams his back on the floor in the process. Springing up to his feet, it's what Tien does next that alarms him. He places his hands into a triangular formation and his arms suddenly tense up and look more vascular than normal. Neo Tri-Beam, he bellows, firing the Tri-Beam at his target. The other 2 humans immediately retreat and this gives Frieza a very bad sign. Just what has he gotten into here? The blast fires down, and it's not a blast that can be caught. It looks translucent and doesn't have a solid energy beam, so he holds his arm up in an X to block it as much as he can, but it does very little. Him and the entire area light up in a bright light from the massive explosion, and the damage area even reaches the edge of the cliff. Frieza is revealed with only minor injuries. Now he's in his final form. He made sure to transform while receiving that blow, and it's at the grace of his training that he was able to do so under such stress. Flies up to Tien and lands a single punch that knocks him out. Looking down to Krillin, he opens his eyes and launches beams of ki from them and pierces his arm and chest, knocking him down. Then he looks to Yamcha and tries to kill him with a proper ki blast, but once it explodes it reveals an untouched Yamcha. It exploded before it could hit him and it's confusing. There was nothing but air between the Emperor and his intended target. Once he looks up, he identifies the cause. Not only that, but his face exudes rage and annoyance, even through the neutral expression. The group of Saiyans stand together, with Kakarot's hand up after he intercepted the blast. "Hello again, Frieza. I thought I'd never see you again," Kakarot says, walking forward. Frieza doesn't have any words for this man. Why would he? It's a little worse than in the canon since he was brutally humiliated. In front of his father, it wasn't future Trunks that took him down but Kakarot again. There are members of his empire that don't have as much respect for him after Kakarot embarrassed him in front of them. They only answered to him purely because of fear, not true respect. Kakarot agrees to face him again and states he won't even need a transformation to take him down like in canon. The 2 fighters charge at each other and land simultaneous punches. However, Kakarot's hit does way more damage. It's not even close. Kakarot felt a tickle from Frieza's hit, but the Emperor coughs out blood and a lost tooth. He then takes a punch to his gut that drops him right to his knees. "Wow, this is all you came here with." Very disappointed Emperor Frieza. Very disappointed, Kakarot states. Frieza then looks up and smiles. "It luckily isn't all I came here with, saying. Allow me to show you," Frieza says, extending both arms. This is when he reveals his new form, Golden Frieza. He smiles and drops his hands again and Kakarot's smile fades. Right after, he takes a punch to the face and a subsequent kick to the gut. Before he can fall, Frieza grabs the neck of his shirt to lift him and hurl him overhead and into the ground. He harshly lands, but rolls and rises back up to his feet. This only leads him to getting hit again. The beatdown is brutal and Frieza is literally having the time of his life. He is the Emperor, he's the best. Now he's only affirming those claims once again and he's overjoyed. Frieza walks slowly to a beaten Kakarot, wiping the blood from his mouth. He slowly stands up and holds his side before tightening his fists. He shouts and his hair rises and turns to gold. However, it switches to brown and his aura darkens as well, with a few flickers of purple energy within it. He shouts and reveals a totally new form, Black Super Saiyan. A combination of the black form from Frieza's DNA and Super Saiyan with a whopping 10,000 times multiplier, a 20 times multiplier on the golden Super Saiyan form. Frieza isn't scared here, just a little confused, since he hasn't seen the form. After that fight, his ego is now swollen. He doesn't care about what Kakarot shows him because in his mind, he is the best and nothing can stop that. Well, that's what he thinks. Kakarot speeds forward and leaves Frieza frozen. he's become a complete blur. He lands a devastating uppercut that launches the Emperor into the air. Then he flies up, adding some flair to it by flying around him in a circular motion while still going up. He lands a strong elbow to send Frieza rocketing back down, then aims down a one-hand energy wave. Frieza just about manages to change his position in the air, but is forced to take the energy wave anyway. He can't even pull his arms up in time and takes the powerful blast. It shaves off the entire cliff edge and also creates massive waves in the adjacent waters. It's a short blast, but that's all it takes. Kakarot leaps off the cliff edge and lands on the shore to find a heavily injured Frieza there. He's already reverted back to his final form, and then someone else lands in front of him, Vegeta. "Let me finish this one, Kakarot," Vegeta says back. He says this not in the usual arrogant tone we've come to associate with Vegeta, but a calmer one, a more neutral, focused one. Frieza slowly rises up and holds his side while his legs tremble under just his own weight. "Wait, Vegeta, this is not what you want. I can give you riches beyond your wildest dreams. You can become my right-hand man. Billions, no hundreds of billions of people could answer to your every command," Frieza pleads. Kakarot chuckles once he hears this. Maybe an earlier version of Vegeta would have taken head of that proposition. Now he's beyond such things. "It doesn't matter about what I want. You destroyed my planet and destroyed my people. You destroyed the planet that I was destined to rule over. It is not my desire to kill you, it's my duty," Vegeta explains. Lifting his hand up to his head, he promptly launches his blast. Kakarot flies out the way and the headless Frieza falls, dead and gone. Bardock returns to Earth after his time with Whis and Beerus. He's learned God Ki, he's gotten what he wanted out of that partnership, and now he can go and focus on his tech. As he arrives, he releases all his bots across the galaxy. Rather quickly, they discover planets with great materials and things that he can work with. Alongside this, he accelerates his progress at the grace of his new God Ki. All his creations that previously relied on ordinary Ki can now be powered using God Ki. This enhancement allows for them to work more efficiently and also to be far stronger in general. On the bots' journeys though, they find a certain planet Vampa. The bot soars through the skies and takes in the large yellowish brown scenery. Within this vast wasteland it locates Broly. He is currently chowing down on some core prey and looks to be quite strong. He's taken down something far larger than himself and has a very muscular frame. The bot runs its formulae and concludes that this must be a Saiyan. For someone to be so strong and have such a humanoid appearance simply gives it away. Therefore it leaves and relays this information onto Bardock. This leaves him stunned. The bot shows him holograms of this fighter taking down massive monsters with his immense strength. It leads him to stop what he's doing and totally draws him in. This inevitably shifts his focus. He was going to stay here and work on his bots and that would be it, but now that he has seen a fellow Saiyan out there, he has to go out and see what's happening. He thought that his family and then Vegeta and Nappa were all they had left. He foresaw that terrible night of the planet being destroyed and felt like that would be the end for all of those who didn't listen to him. After seeing those events played out exactly as they did in his mind, he assumed that everyone else perished. However, here is an adult Saiyan alive and well. He looks up in his lab and at his sleek, gleaming new suit. It's time to go. Strapping on the gear, he exits his lab and enters flight. He zips out the atmosphere and into space, using capsules of supplies to keep him going for the time being. He soars through the skies and eventually arrives at the planet. At first, it doesn't seem like much. The ground consists of a coarse, light brown rock and the air around is quite thick. He fragments his helmet and feels the decently warm air flow over his hair and skin. He begins his search, but stays vigilant for whatever could be here. This is unknown territory to him, and anything could happen. Soon though, he feels a presence, a strong signature that is approaching at an alarming pace. He turns and can see Broly sprinting at him, leaving a massive trail of dust in his wake. He promptly activates his helmet and leaps up to gain some more distance. Broly hurls down his massive fist and breaks the ground. The cracks even reach a gigantic nearby chasm, leading to rubble soaring down it. Bardock can see that and laughs to himself. This guy is not only a Saiyan, he's way stronger than any of the Saiyans back on planet Vegeta. Broly leaps up again, trying to battle. However, Bardock doesn't want to fight. He came here with no such intentions, and so wants to shut this down as quickly as he can. It's clear that there's been some form of misunderstanding. Attempting a punch, Bardock catches his wrist and then gracefully spins around to hurl him. Bardock descends and arrives in front of Broly again. "I don't want to hurt you, Saiyan. I am not here for that. I am of no threat to you," Bardock says, taking down his helmet. Broly is still breathing intensely and is still a little riled up, but seems willing to listen. "Why are you here?" Bardock asks. "I came here when I was young. My father knows," Broly replies. Broly then brings him to Paragus, and this is when he gets a lot more information. He's been here after King Vegeta wanted his son slain for being too strong. He was going to overshadow his own son, Prince Vegeta, and could affect the social hierarchy where the royals are the strongest on planet Vegeta. It reminds him a lot of his own son that managed to become stronger than him. Bardock then speaks of Earth, the tiny diaspora that remains. He foresaw the planet getting destroyed and left before he and his family would die. If they want to meet others like them and go to a prosperous society, they can come along. Paragus can't help but accept. Being like the only intelligent individuals on this planet is making them almost go mad. As a result, it's an easy choice. Both head to Earth and Bardock starts accommodating them and acclimatizing them to the new environment. Next is the Universe 6 saga and its complete domination from Universe 7. Beerus knows how strong his men are and knows Champa stands no chance. All he needs is Kakarot and he can take down all the foes. Even with hit, he stands no chance at all. Black Super Saiyan Kakarot is all that's needed to control the situation. With complete ease, Universe 7 take the win and humiliate their twin universe. In the future timeline, Future Trunks holds his sword tightly, aiming it forward. There's a strong tremble in it. His feet quake just like his blade. His eyes sway across the surroundings with haste. Fear and terror commands his every movement. He isn't moving much, but is breathing like he's just run a marathon. A drop of sweat and blood from his face drops onto the cracked concrete beneath his feet, and in the sky is a silhouette. An unmoving and ostensibly uninteresting silhouette. However, this single black figure is striking fear into his soul like he's looking at evil incarnate. Well, that's because he is. Before him stands Kakarot Black. He descends and lands before him, slowly walking. He puts his arms behind his back and his straight face breaks out into a mischievous smile. "Don't be so scared, Trunks. This is the right thing," he says as he walks. "The sacrifice of you and those around you will go to making the world a much, much better place." Trunks isn't going to buy that. He swipes his sword and tries to slash him but can't get anywhere near him. He swings again but that attempt is also futile. Instead of just swinging again, he throws a close range ki blast and lights up the entire area. In that split second he takes off and flies away as fast as he can. In the garden of the Capsule Corp, he falls onto his sword and then Bulma rushes to his aid. He's reached the present. Once she gets Whis' attention, those on Beerus' planet rush over as fast as they can to see what's going on. Vegeta and Nappa don't actually know who this is. Vegeta never went into the time chamber to train with him or even talk to him for that matter. "Who is this Trunks individual?" Vegeta asks. "What's your son's name?" Kakarot asks, with a chuckle. "Yes, he has my son's name, but what does that have to do with anything?" Vegeta asks. "You'll see," Kakarot says, once they see Earth in the distance. They arrive in the area where Future Trunks is, and the green sphere fades from around him. Vegeta stays still and calm with the crew for a time, but is looking at Trunks. Once it clicks for him, he sprints forward to get a closer look at his face. The man wakes up and looks straight at him. His face is a spitting image of his son. The only difference is that he looks much older. "What is this? What happened to my son?" Vegeta asks. However, he turns and can see Trunks stunned next to Bulma. "I'm sorry, I didn't really get to talk to you when I came here the first time. You weren't really part of the group back then. I'm your son, but I'm from the future. A different timeline and something really bad is happening," Trunks states. He explains the current situation and the Saiyans agree to head along with him to sort things out. The ship can't take all the Saiyans and so they only take Raditz, Vegeta and Kakarot. All three of them arrive and Vegeta demands that he starts the fight. After seeing that Trunks has been through this terrible situation, his own son, he believes that it should be him to make things right. Once they arrive, they find Kakarot Black in the sky. Vegeta lifts to begin the fight. He slowly ascends and smirks upon seeing the fake being. It's laughable that this person thinks that he can take a Saiyan's body and achieve anything significant with it. He'll show him the truth, the physically inferior being that he still is. Vegeta darts forward and aims forward his knee. He comes in hot and with a lot of momentum from his high speed and lands the hit cleanly. Kakarot Black is completely launched back and looks rough after that first hit. He grabs onto his shirt and feels a little annoyed that he's been hurt by this. He's drilled in this hierarchy between mortals and immortals and has also dominated over every single person in this timeline. For someone to just waltz in here and cause him such pain, it irritates him. Vegeta continues his assault and finds it very easy to take the man down. He doesn't have to do much at all. He's a good fighter. He can tell that some form of skill is there, but he's weak. However, the prince starts to notice his attacks move a little faster by the minute. Vegeta knocks away a fist only to get a strong hit to his jaw the next second. Vegeta is so shocked this attack almost takes his breath away. Something really has changed. This guy's literally gotten stronger as they've been fighting. Kakarot Black even pulls back his hand and looks at it for a short moment. As he advances, Vegeta just powers up into Super Saiyan and lets the next punch land on his face. It doesn't move him an inch. Another comes his way, but he catches the incoming arm by the wrist. He stops the attack in almost an instant, then begins squeezing more tightly. He also twists away his hand and causes the foe Saiyan much pain. He can feel the sharp pain rushing down his arm and can't free himself. "You're going to pay for everything that you've done here. You're an immoral, distasteful creature. You shall rot for what you've done," he states. He then swings the arm away and kicks him in his chin. The kick snaps his jaw back and breaks it while knocking him at least 100 meters away. Kakarot Black holds his jaw in agony. He grabs it and groans in pain before snapping the thing back into place. Then his natural healing seals up the injury. However, he still coughs out blood and looking at the pool of it in his palm. Upon looking up again, Vegeta has already grabbed him by the neck. The two of them dive down, then the prince starts flying around the place, just pushing Kakarot Black through buildings. He flies straight at these broken down structures at top speed, and leaves Kakarot Black to take the brunt of the force in each slam. Each hit hurts like hell for him since he's moving so quickly and can't do anything about it. Vegeta eventually lands in a street and chucks the man away. What you've done here is terrible, Vegeta says, with his arms crossed. The way Vegeta talks here is slightly different. He feels a different way about the situation here. He doesn't want to sit on his high horse and just beat up Kakarot Black for the sake of it. He wants to beat someone that has done something immoral, something wrong. If you're so much better than us, what is this? Why am I not dead yet? Vegeta asks. Kakarot Black strugglingly gets up onto a knee but can feel pain panging in his body from every movement. Each movement is almost crippling, stopping him from getting up. He tries his best to back away, but his body just won't allow it. This leaves him terrified and worried about what is to come. Will this be the end of him? The end of his mission? Vegeta just aims forward a hand to blast him, but can then feel something approaching him at great pace. He turns and can see a sharp, rough woolen stick sent his way. He taps it aside from predicting it and can see another silhouette in the sky. This is Zamasu, another version of Zamasu in his true body. It took you a long time, Kakarot Black says, still holding his side. My apologies, Zamasu says, gracefully landing. Both immortals stand at opposite sides of Vegeta, closing him in. The prince looks between them a few times before breaking out into laughter. Come on then, both of you bring it on, Vegeta beckons them in, before powering up further into Super Saiyan 2. As he does so though, Kakarot Black also shows off his Super Saiyan transformation. Now healed, he stands up and smiles, ready to start the fight again. Vegeta aims for Zamasu first. He visibly isn't a Saiyan and guesses that he'll be easier to deal with. He lands a powerful punch with devastating strength that knocks him down. However, he receives an elbow from behind from Kakarot Black that drops him to his knees. Just before he can be attacked again, he leaps into flight and brings the two fighters away from him. The two continue to chase him and Super Saiyan 2 starts being insufficient. However, Vegeta has had his fun. He doesn't want this to get out of control. He grabs Zamasu by his neck, then gets surrounded by this flowing fiery energy. Those watching don't know what it is and are a little cautious. What other tricks does he have up his sleeve? Vegeta starts smiling, then his hair turns to a blood red. He squeezes on Zamasu's neck harder as he grows stronger, then hurls him down. He turns to Kakarot Black, then speed blitzes him. Landing a quick snappy punch, he manages to break through his whole torso and even his heart. Kakarot Black grabs onto his fist and tries his hardest to free himself. Vegeta does not falter and in seconds the man is no more. As for Zamasu though, things aren't as straightforward. Vegeta begins an intense assault against him but finds that there's little that he can do. He just can't get him down. That's when Kakarot can see things aren't going their way and calls for Zeno. He sweeps right in, erases the universe and brings an end to the Future Trunks arc. Following this point, there is the Tournament of Power. Before the tournament begins, Kakarot is up against Toppo, just a little preliminary fight. Toppo is quite arrogant, of course, being the god of destruction in training that he is. That training has affirmed his strength. The position he's soon to hold confirms his power as well. He's one of the strongest in his own universe and is sure that's the same for the whole multiverse as well. He makes his stance and Kakarot does the same. The fight is on. Kakarot slowly edges forward and begins circling around the ring. Now, compared to his canon self, Kakarot has been through similar training, but with his Frieza DNA in this timeline, it means that his progress has also been astounding. The other Saiyans don't like to outright admit it or even think about it too much, but there's no challenging him. Raditz has Frieza DNA as well. Vegeta and Nappa together will have no chance of defeating even Raditz. Then all three of them will have no chance of defeating Kakarot. The gap is massive. Toppo charges and thrusts forward his right leg for a kick. Kakarot, however, fluidly evades, then takes a light step back. Toppo turns and continues on with sharp focus. However, even with this, he is not fast enough to land on the target. He can see that things just aren't going to work and so uses his aura of a god state. Imbued with God Ki, every muscle in his body has been invigorated and he tightens his fist upon feeling this greater strength. Kakarot readies himself and the fight is on again. This time Toppo moves way faster, forcing Kakarot to throw out both hands and stop his punch. Their hands both clash, but both stay firm. That's when there's a bit of a pushing game that happens. Many of the watchers then get intrigued to see what's going to happen, who will be the first to get overpowered and lose the struggle, if you will. Nobody seems to gain the upper hand on the other, and both break out of it before someone could be overpowered. Whoa, you're really strong, Kakarot realizes. Toppo doesn't reply to this. He's very standoffish as we know and doesn't take note of his words. Kakarot lands a quick jab but also takes one to his face. A right hand fires at him, but he lifts both hands and takes a good few punches. With each one, he can feel that they're extremely powerful. He has to be on his A game, working 100% to deal with it, but he handles it and steps back a great deal. This leaves Toppo to sprint in his direction, then Kakarot ups it to Super Saiyan. Powering forward, he punches him right in the solar plexus. The intense force behind this strike knocks the wind out of him completely. He's left to fly away and off the ring to get eliminated. Many of those watching are so surprised at how this guy took the fight so easily. Many people turn to Universe 7 spectators, but all watch with straight faces. This is quite alarming because of what is coming. This tournament of power is not just a fancy fight, every universe that is defeated will be erased. It wasn't like Kakarot beat a nobody, he beat Universe 11's God of Destruction in training. They're sure they have strong warriors in their own universe, but what will happen if their own warriors face this being? Universe 7 go on to form their team for the tournament, and it consists of Kakarot, Raditz, Vegeta, Nappa, Bardock, Tien, Yamcha, Krillin, Symbol and Broly. Symbol is a much stronger bio-android compared to the version of himself that faced Cell many years ago, and he has received further augmentations to make him stronger. This is a far more stacked team than the one we'd seen in the canon, with the weakest of them still being insanely powerful fighters. Broly has been spending time with the Saiyans now, after Paragus explained that he has power that needs to be controlled. Bardock sees potential in him, and so do the others. If they can train him up to control the monstrous strength that he has, he could be very powerful. He hasn't gotten that control down though, so here they make sure to tell him to stay calm and not let his rage take over. When that happens, he has no inhibitions and could kill someone here. That's strictly forbidden in this tournament and obviously immoral, so they stay away from doing that. If push comes to shove and they absolutely have to, they will eliminate Broly. Weapons aren't allowed in the Tournament of Power, so Bardock's suit isn't allowed either, so he isn't as strong as he would have hoped. However, he is still a Saiyan android. He has infinite stamina and augmented himself after his time searching the galaxy for better materials. He managed to make his AI even more intelligent, far more intelligent than himself, and they found further augmentations to his body to make him an even stronger android. Of course, since he was already an android, it wasn't like he could go through a whole different procedure, they could only add on to what was already there. Still, it's a massive improvement. His first foe is Dispo. Bardock begins using Super Saiyan God and feels more eager to fight. Instead of following Whis' path of Ultra Instinct, Bardock wants to still fight like a Saiyan. I mean, he was trained that way his whole life and he's much older than the other Saiyans, and so is more stuck in his own ways. He finds the idea of not thinking before moving and fighting with total calmness as useless. It's just not the way a Saiyan should fight in his eyes. He sprints ahead and Dispo throws an attack as he advances. He just slides under his incoming attack before side rolling. He bounces back up then steps back away from a very speedy punch from Dispo. The speed does impress him, but he's still far too slow to be a threat. Dispo continues on forward and throws a jumping kick that Bardock simply slips by. In this movement, he throws out a ki blast and strikes him in the side of his body. The explosion is powerful and sends Dispo sliding back. He holds his side in pain and can see that he's already bleeding. It annoys him since he's used to dodging attacks like that. Even from Toppo, he can predict and use his explosive nimble frame to get out the way. Dispo throws this aside and continues though, what's a single lucky shot anyway. He explodes, preparing an intense combination. The punches start flying, but Bardock manages to slip and move out the way of almost all of them. They continuously fly past him and he catches the last one. Dispo is stunned. How has his punch been caught? He'd understand a lucky dodge or a block, but this? Bardock squeezes on his wrist, breaking one of his knuckles. He then throws a vicious uppercut with his right hand followed by a right hook. He continues battering Dispo with this one hand all the way to the edge of the ring. Dispo coughs out blood and starts swaying from side to side. Once he lets go, he's left to fall and is eliminated. Broly looks around a little nervously trying to find a fighter. He's pretty much alone here with all the people that he knows invested in their own battles. Toppo finds him and immediately begins the fight. Before he can say a word, Toppo knees him in his face and chips one of his teeth. Broly coughs the tooth out and receives a whipping hook to his stomach. This attack sounds like a gunshot and even catches the attention of some of the other people watching. I must stay calm, Broly whispers to himself. He doesn't want to go haywire like he's done before. So many people have been put in grave danger when that happens. He can't let it happen again. The attacks keep coming and Toppo is confused at why he isn't responding in any meaningful way. He just takes the hits and stays still. I must stay calm, he reiterates. Toppo isn't bothered though. He'll be an easy fighter to get rid of. He soon aims principally for the face. This is where the knockout punches come from. He even lands some whipping kicks and just continues the ruthless beatdown. Broly wipes blood from his face and no longer utters his mantra. He falls silent and looks down with his hair blocking his face. Toppo goes in to try and land another attack, but Broly catches it. He looks up with golden eyes. Shouting, he pulls then headbutts the Pride Trooper. He then swings him around and hurls him toward the center pole of the arena. Broly leaps up and pulls up his arms like he's an ape, smashing his arms down. He creates a massive crater and knocks Toppo down almost instantly. He throws down a relentless flurry of punches, leaving Toppo looking busted up. He soon has a swollen eye and blood covering his face and body. Broly grabs his arm then swings around to hurl him at the edge of the ring. Sprinting at him, he headbutts him and knocks him off. Turning around, he can see Caulifla and Kale. Both look alarmed at the beastly individual staring them down, but the former is the first to act. She runs and jumps, aiming for a kick. However, Broly backhands her off the ring before shouting at Kale. Upon seeing this harm to her sister, Kale snaps. She shouts and loses control, bursting her pupils and entering her Super Saiyan Berserk state. The legendary Super Saiyans of their respective universes stare at each other. Kel jumps at Broly and lands a punch on him before grabbing his head and slamming his with her own. These attacks work to anger Broly and causes him to lose the small amount of control that he had. He managed to focus and eliminate Toppo, but now he's gone completely. He grabs Kel and throws her down before landing a vicious ape-like slam. Kel is hurt by that attack, but just like a hurt animal, it's only their death that will stop them from fighting back. She grabs his extended arm and bites on it, making Broly growl out in pain. Lifting her with his arm, he whips his arm out and slingshots her into the central arena pole. This knocks her straight through it, and Broly runs toward her and leaps through the rubble at her. Just when she can see him reveal himself, she receives two massive arm swings to her body. They viciously knock her down again and lead her to snapping her right arm. She shouts out in pain, but Broly just continues on. Just like him though, she grows stronger. Broly lands another punch, but she rises and takes another punch to the face. She then grabs his hand, throwing it away before reaching for his waist. Lifting him up, she lands a powerful slam and then lands a punch while he's down. Broly gets quite hurt by that attack and then takes another. This isn't like a technical controlled wrestling match, this is an all-out war. Blood is flying out from every hit and they don't stop at anything to hurt the other. Kel bites him right on his arm and breaks through the skin easily. He shouts out in pain and continues punching her on the head, trying to knock her out. He soon draws blood himself, making her pull back and hold the wound in pain. This is even with her right hand, using the arm that was broken earlier in the fight. The will derived from this berserk state is overpowering any sense of pain that she feels right now. Other Universe 7 spectators see this and find that it's enough. Golden Super Saiyan God Raditz swoops in with luscious orange hair and grabs Kel to hurl her out the ring. As for Broly, he taps his neck and knocks him out before eliminating him. He doesn't want him causing any more problems on the spectators bench once he's teleported there. Now Raditz has no issue with taking out one of his own because the fight is pretty much over. Many of Universe 7's members remain, and the last main fight is Kakarot against Jiren. Kakarot begins in his base form but is terribly overpowered, therefore he brings things up to Black Super Saiyan. This 20,000 times multiplier on the spot ends the fight right here. He lands a single punch on Jiren, knocking the wind out of him completely. He coughs up blood from this hit and grunts in agony. Kakarot then lands a swift hook and knocks him down onto his back. Jiren looks up to a blackness above. It's almost like his chest is on fire. There's ringing in his right ear as well. However, Jiren has a will stronger than any ordinary fighter. The fact that he could be weaker than this person leads him into a fit of rage. He lifts and turns, now directly facing Kakarot. He powers up and lets out all his strength. His shirt rips off from his intense power up and full power Jiren is hit. He charges at Kakarot and tries to punch him, only to totally miss the mark. Kakarot slips past him, grabs his wrist and then runs toward the edge of the ring. "You are a good fighter, Jiren. I hope we can fight another time," Kakarot says back to Jiren as he slowly runs. It kind of catches the attention of the other fighters because the way he's chosen to do this is just so odd. He flings him off the ring and eliminates the strongest fighter in the tournament outside Universe 7. Shortly after, they defeat everyone else and Universe 7 gets the win. Once they get the wish from Super Shenron, they wish to get back all of the other universes, so everything is fine and well in the end. After this, since Broly is already on Earth, there is no Broly arc. Also, since Frieza wasn't given his body back from not participating in the Tournament of Power in this timeline, the arc just doesn't happen. Next is the Moro arc. Now Meris is in search of a strong warrior to help him in the struggles against Moro, but ends up finding someone else that could help, Bardock. Bardock is currently training with Symbol just outside his lab near his house. These androids are around him all the time and so have grown very close to him. They're like his children. They have utmost respect for him and are grateful because he's the reason they're still alive. Bardock is just letting Symbol practice some form work like light combinations and footwork. Even if Symbol is just one of his creations, his main role is protecting the Earth. Bardock almost runs his own form of vigilante police force, if you will. His little insect bots fly through the skies and survey the entire world to see if anything's up. He can stop things like violent crime before they happen and also help with natural disasters. As they're training, Beerus lands before him. Now Symbol can sense that he is an unknown figure and is immediately hostile. Who is this person? I can sense that he's very strong, Symbol says to Bardock, making his stance. Bardock is uneasy at first as well, and the guy does have a gun aimed up at them. Bardock makes a weird signal with his hands and Beerus has no clue what this could be about. A metal ring on his wrist starts flashing as well, then suddenly massive pieces of metal start flying out from his house toward him. They latch onto his body and assemble, but this whole thing startles Beerus. All of these components are flying at very fast speeds and all have repulsors on them to let them travel in this way, meaning that they're very loud. As a result, he shoots out his dark gun to both Symbol and Bardock. The duo wake up in the ship they're taken in and demand answers. Who are you? Why did you tranquilize us? Bardock asks. Beerus looks uneasy at first, but can see that once he wakes up he doesn't attack, therefore he doesn't do anything. I'm not a threat to any of you. I just got a little startled by that suit formation of yours. I need your help to take down someone that has escaped prison. He's a very dangerous person and we need to get him back behind bars as soon as possible. Bardock is on board with this. His suit is best for things like this. Compared to fighting and raw power, it isn't as good compared to the Saiyans back on Earth that are just stronger than him. However, when it comes to things like search and rescue and other tactical missions, it's helpful. Not only that, but Bardock is fond of things like that. He was a soldier back in his day and was trained for various types of missions. They arrive on Namek and shortly arrive before Moro. Bardock gives no time for pleasantries and immediately gets into the fight. He imbues his suit with God Ki and makes it vastly more powerful. Firing out his sound shockwave from at least 80 meters away, it traps Moro and leads him to grab his ears in agony. He drops to his knees and ends up coughing out blood from his internal organs rattling around. Bardock then flies up to him, then begins pulling the key strings around his body. He spins around him a great number of times, reaching more than 100 times. He then straps the string so tightly that Moro can't move. Beerus then wraps him around in that blue substance and that's everything. Bardock has taken him down. The two fighters now act as security in the return of Moro to prison. They stay there just in case he tries to act out and escape. Luckily for the Galactic Patrol, he doesn't, and the two receive badges for their great work. Symbol didn't do much in taking down Moro, but in the other miniature missions that they took part in on the way, he was the main force. I'll put some images up from the manga to show you the other things dealt with before Moro was confronted to show you what I mean. The two individuals return to Earth and peace continues as usual. Far away on planet Cereal, Granola wants to wish to become the strongest in the whole universe. He tries to, but it's futile. He cannot. The wish comes back as just invalid. The life force that he'd require to perform the transformation would leave him to rot in minutes at the very most. Therefore, Granola leaves that goal behind him, and this kind of makes sure that the Granola arc never actually happens. With Frieza also being dead and not being able to train and acquire his black form, this ends the events of Dragon Ball Super in relative peace. The Saiyans continue training to their heart's content, with Bardock remaining on Earth to continue his works and protecting the Earth. So that will conclude What If Bardock Was Like Dr. GERO. Please tell me something you liked about this What If or something that I should improve on for the next one. Thanks so much for watching and I'll see you in the next video.